Chapter 393. Su Lijing was creeped out by Chen Guang's smile, but he was wary of Chen Guang's identity as a tiger from a family of generals, so he did not know how to answer him. No matter what, I'm considered a meritorious official, right? It's wrong to indulge the younger generation, but it didn't cause too much damage. Chen Guang suddenly felt that he had nothing to say to this person. Even though Wu Shan was a typical official, at least he still had justice in his heart. Su Lijing, on the other hand, stood at the other extreme. He and Su Lijing had different goals and could not work together. Forget it. I'll just take care of the rest one by one. Why waste my breath on Su Lijing? Anyway, I've achieved my goal, haven't I? Fine, I won't argue with you. That's it. Just now, you said that you'd better cancel the punishment for my teacher and classmate. Chen Guang threw down this sentence and prepared to leave. At that moment, the ward door suddenly opened. Wang Ren seemed to have heard the commotion outside. He did not seem to understand the situation. Earlier, when he was alone, he heard Chen Guang's voice. He remembered that Deng Xinhua vaguely mentioned that Chen Guang was coming to apologize. Therefore, he could not sit still on the bed. He hated Chen Guang to the core. If he had the chance, he wanted to step on Chen Guang's face. Now, you actually came to me? How can I let you go just like that? Even though Wang Ren could not understand why Su Lijing refused to agree to his request to fire Chen Guang. But since that brat came to ask for a beating, it was not too much for him to go out and vent his anger, right? Therefore, he opened the door and saw Chen Guang. He used about 5 seconds to organize his words and decide on his next move. Chen Guang. He grinned and shouted Chen Guang's name. He raised his hand and wanted to give this thorn in his flesh a tight slap. His hand was raised in midair, but Chen Guang had already turned around and looked at him coldly. Oomph. Wang Ren thought, you came to apologize without any sincerity. What do you mean by that look? Aren't you quite capable? If you have the guts, why don't you make a move now? Do you dare to make a move in front of my dad's bodyguards? No matter how good you are at fighting, can you beat the bodyguards sent by the army? Wang Ren was so excited that he raised his hand higher and higher. His chest was filled with anger and hot blood. Now you know to apologize? Too late. I will kick you out of the school first, and then crush you to death bit by bit. Then, he waved his hand, completely not noticing that Su Lijing's face had turned pale, nor did he notice that Chen Guang was staring at him, as if he was looking at a dead fish. He also didn't notice that the 2 military bodyguards he was relying on didn't dare to look at Chen Guang from beginning to end. In the end, his hand didn't hit Chen Guang's face. Instead, he felt a dull pain in his chest. Then, his fat body flew in the direction of the ward's door, and then he fell hard into the ward. His back hit the floor cabinet, making a loud noise. Then, there was a series of cracking sounds on his back. He didn't know which bone was broken. Wang Ren used a little strength to stand up, but there was a heart-wrenching pain in his back. He couldn't move. He wailed. Chen Guang slowly retracted his foot that was in midair, turned around to look at Su Lijing, and shrugged. You can't blame me for this. The expressions on Su Lijing's face were too colorful. There was anger, confusion, panic, and perhaps a trace of unwillingness. Chen Guang thought he would be furious, but instead, he took a deep breath. It's okay. Good kick. Xiao Ren deserves it. At that moment, a man in military uniform suddenly stepped out of the elevator. He stared and saw the 2 military bodyguards standing beside Su Lijing. He said loudly, Zhao Hu, why did you 2 send a distress signal for no reason? I was busy here, and I was the closest to you, so I threw it over. This Zhao Hu was one of Su Lijing's bodyguards. He looked at the newcomer with a bitter face. Captain Xue, it's a misunderstanding. It's a misunderstanding. This person was Xue Lin. She knew Su Lijing. She first nodded at him. Greetings, Elder Su. At that moment, Chen Guang turned around. Xue Lin turned her head and saw him. Brother Chen Guang? Why are you here? Huh? Chen Guang glanced at Xue Lin. His mind was a mess. He seemed to have seen this person before, but he couldn't remember his name. Who are you? I'm Xue Lin. Did you guys just fight? No wonder Zhao Hu sent a distress signal in a panic. These 2 people are still alive. Thank God. Last time, when he exchanged blows with Chen Guang, Xue Lin was defeated without any resistance. He admired the strong the most. Now, his tone was naturally filled with respect and some joy. Chun Guang impatiently waved his hand and turned to leave. Don't bother me. I'm not in a good mood. It was rare for Shui Lin to block Chun Guang. How could she let him go so easily? Brother Chun Guang, wait a minute. I want to learn inner force. Chun Guang suddenly turned his head. His Qilin arm attacked. He punched Shui Lin's stomach. This white-faced guy was caught off guard. He was hit by Chun Guang's punch. He covered his stomach and squatted down. How could he keep up with Chun Guang? After punching him again, Chun Guang was in a good mood. He really couldn't stand Su Lijing's attitude of "we are the superior. My men ride on the heads of the commoners, and it's natural for them to do whatever they want." But don't hit a smiling face. Su Lijing suddenly lowered his stance. His fist really couldn't hit his old face. He was an old man after all. Now that someone had delivered himself to his doorstep to be beaten up, he could at least vent the pin-up anger in his heart. Instantly, he felt much better. Shui Lin held her stomach and squatted on the ground for 3 minutes. With Zhao Hu's help, she stood up shakily. Damn it, I might have internal injuries. Captain Shui, who is this guy? He even dares to hit you? Zhao Hu was also from Shui Lin's Special Forces team. He was clear about the captain's ability. He had never seen him knocked down with one punch. Just now, the two of them easily knocked him down. But how could Captain Shui be so weak in front of him? Shui Lin glared at him. You came out to be a bodyguard. Have you forgotten the military discipline? Who told you to ask so many questions? Then, Shui Lin said goodbye to Su Lijing, turned around, and rushed down the stairs. Today, Senior Captain Shui had once again received the teachings of a folk master. He firmly believed that as long as he didn't give up, sooner or later, he would be able to move this master to introduce an inner force master to him. Seeing how Shui Lin cared about Chun Guang so much, Su Lijing's back was almost soaked in cold sweat. This time, there's really no escape. Luckily, I reacted in time. Otherwise, my life's work would be ruined. That was close. He quickly took out his phone. No matter what, he had to coax the person first. As for Wang Run, who was injured on top of his injuries, he was in a mess again. At that moment, Su Lijing still didn't know that he and Chun Guang were actually not the same type of person. He might be barely considered a superior, but Chun Guang put himself in the position of a civilian. He didn't accept Su Lijing's so-called reflection and closed-door reflection. If one only needed to reflect on their mistakes and didn't have to pay any price, then what was the use of the law? Although he always heard that the law was a toy of those in power, Chun Guang didn't agree with it. On the other side, Chun Guang received a call from Zhuo Jingxi before he even reached the hotel parking lot. Her mood was a little complicated. The punishment that was already set in stone was inexplicably revoked. She didn't know what exactly Chun Guang did, but she was sure that it had something to do with him. Chun Guang laughed it off with her. He only said that the heavenly secrets couldn't be revealed and that he would tell her in detail when he came back. On the other side, Hua Ling and Zhong Yu also called one after another. Both of their punishments were canceled for no reason. Chun Guang just chuckled with a look that said, "I'm awesome. Come and worship me." As soon as Chun Guang returned to school, he was immediately stopped by Zhuo Jingxi, Hua Ling, and Zhong Yu. The three girls dragged him to the Qingya Pavilion outside the school. Zhuo Jingxi acted as the host and rewarded him while interrogating him. Although Zhuo Jingxi had already accepted her fate to go abroad and was even willing to accept Chun Guang's sponsorship if she could stay in school and stay in old Madame Shu's laboratory, she still wasn't willing to leave. It wasn't that Zhuo Jingxi didn't want to go abroad to study. As Chun Guang saw and old Madame Shu said, the old Madame's health was deteriorating. She was very grateful to Zhuo Jingxi. No matter what, Zhuo Jingxi was more willing to stay by Shu Lirong's side. She hoped to be able to produce results as soon as possible before the old Madame completely collapsed. Let me tell you, at that time, I stood in front of that old man Su Lijing and slapped this thing on Su Lijing's face for him to see. After he saw it, he was ashamed and embarrassed. I said that he didn't dare to say anything. I called him an old thief and said that he had no sense of shame. He didn't even dare to fart on his face. He nodded his head like a chicken pecking at rice and said that he would immediately withdraw the punishment. Not even 5 minutes after I turned around and left, your calls came one after another. Chen Guang laughed mischievously. Bah, we've heard of Su Lijing countless times. How could he be as weak as you say? Fine, I know you're afraid that we'll feel sorry for him. How much money did you spend? Tell me. Zhuo Jingxi rolled her eyes at him. How much money could he have? Zhong Yu picked up a piece of twice-cooked pork with her chopsticks and sent it to Chen Guang's mouth. Come, open your mouth. Did you see Hua Ling's car when she moved over? Zhuo Jingxi was puzzled. A Passat. What's so great about it? Zhong Yu didn't understand. Zhuo Jingxi turned to look at Chen Guang. This is quite different from the Chen Guang I know. Chen Guang chewed on the twice-cooked pork that Zhong Yu fed him. He pouted and said, I explained to them that it was a phaeton, but they didn't believe me. Are you bullying me because I don't understand English? It's written so clearly that it's a Passat. Zhong Yu insisted. Zhuo Jingxi finally understood that this kid was trapped in his own trap. She could only laugh happily. She thought of the day when this kid was buying car. He stared at the seller as if he wanted to eat her alive and asked the 4S shop to change the logo. Now he's stupid. Chapter 394. Chen Guang rolled his eyes at Zhuo Jingxi's laughter and stopped struggling. He waved his hand and said, I really didn't spend any money, and I can't possibly compensate Su Lijing. He doesn't care about this bit of money, and I wouldn't do such a despicable thing. Also, I do have some connections that can protect me, but Su Lijing insisted that he wanted to vent his anger on you guys, so there's no room for negotiation. I really thought he was something, but after I went there, he was very tough and overbearing at first, and he had 2 bodyguards with him, looking cool and handsome. But I beat up his 2 bodyguards first, and he immediately chickened out. Then I kicked Wang Ren again, and that bastard spine was probably broken, but Su Lijing said it was a good kick. It's not just you guys who don't understand. Even I don't know what's going on. All right, no matter what, the result is a happy ending, so let's not care about the details. Zhong Yu patted the table. Come, let's have a toast to celebrate our General Chen's victory. At this moment, Hua Ling, who had just finished reading the booklet, put down a few pieces of paper and looked up at Chen Guang. Why isn't there anything about little Lu in here? The atmosphere in the private room suddenly cooled down. Although Hua Ling also knew that she shouldn't mention sad things when everyone was happy, this matter was stuck in her throat, and she had to get out. Chen Guang first looked at everyone, then suddenly downed a large glass of wine. I didn't mention it now, because I can't let Su Lijing be on guard, but this matter isn't over yet. Senior Hua Ling, when you all settle down, we'll go to Senior Ding, Lu's hometown. This was another night of drinking with the 3 women, and Chen Guang was very tired. He divided them into 3 batches before he finally carried them all back to Zhuo Jingxi's house. Fortunately, it wasn't very far, but it wasn't completely without benefits. Towards Hua Ling and Zhong Yu, of course, he wouldn't act recklessly. But as for Zhuo Jingxi, he wasn't so polite. Anyway, he had already taken advantage of her. He worked hard as a porter, so shouldn't he get some benefits? Unfortunately, Hua Ling was now living in Zhuo Jingxi's house and occupying the living room. Even if he had the heart to kill the thief, he was powerless to do anything about it. All he could do was casually take advantage of her and return home with his tail between his legs. In fact, sometimes Chen Guang looked down on himself. Why can't I control my hands? To think that he trusted him so much that he could get drunk in front of him without the slightest bit of vigilance. Weren't you testing the old man's character? I'm not kidding. I can't stand the test. The next morning, Zhuo Jingxi and the other 2 returned to the school's laboratory. Old Madam Shu had personally called to invite them. Luo Jin had arrived early. He didn't know what had happened. Inexplicably, the demerit punishment on his head was gone. He was also at a loss. When he received a call from Zhuo Jingxi informing him to come to the laboratory, he was even more confused. Teacher Zhuo, what's going on? Luo Jin was puzzled. The 3 girls looked at each other in unison. It was the straightforward Zhong Yu who said, It's nothing. Senior brother Luo, just treat it as a dream. After saying that, the 3 girls went back to their own work. Because of Su Lijing, the experiment had been stopped for 2 days. There was a lot of backlog of work, and they were indeed very busy. Of course, it wasn't that they were so busy that they didn't have time to say a word. It was just that the three of them really didn't want to talk to Luo Jin. With Chen Guang as a mirror, there was no need to say much about Luo Jin's character. Luo Jin suddenly felt that he was no longer a person in this laboratory. He was not wrong. When the next semester started, Zhuo Jingxi really planned to change to another graduate student. In any case, there were already 3 girls in the laboratory, so she might as well change all of them to a female army. As for Chen Guang, he went to a tea house near Vice Principal Han's residential area. After sitting and waiting for a while, Guoming and Old Man Han arrived one after another. Guoming's eyes were filled with excitement. "Are you ready to move? I could do it any time." Old Man Han also suppressed his excitement. "I have been secretly asking around in the academy for the past few days. Many people are starting to get restless. I don't know what happened, but I heard that Deng Xinghua had offended Su Lijing. Yesterday, Old Tong and Principal Ku had an appointment for a long time. I guess this matter has something to do with Su Lijing. Also, why did Su Lijing suddenly revoke the punishment given to Xiao Zhuo and the others? What else have you been doing these few days?" Chen Guang looked at the 2 extremely excited people. After thinking for a while, he still couldn't hide it from them. So he told them the truth about Wu Tong being sent away. As for the rest, he didn't need to explain it too clearly. It was as if a bucket of cold water had been poured over their heads. "Maybe the 2 of you have misunderstood. The Martial Arts Bureau wanted to do this with me and let Wang Rin receive the punishment he deserved. However, the Martial Arts Bureau didn't seem to support it and sent her away. But no matter what, I have made up my mind to do this. As for the 2 of you, I understand your difficulties. I can't be too selfish and only care about myself. I can't be too selfish and think about dragging you into this." Unknowingly, Chen Guang, a third-year student, didn't behave like a student in front of Old Man Han, a deputy dean, and Guoming, a former director, and now an executive of a listed company. Instead, he behaved like a peer. When the 2 heard this, they were silent for a long time. They looked at Chen Guang with some pain, as if they were thanking him for being honest with them. However, they also seemed to be regretting that they might have missed another good opportunity to take down Wang Rin and Su Lijing. Since they had already said this much, there was no point for Chen Guang to continue staying here. So he didn't stay any longer and got up to leave. Not long after he left the tea house, Wu Shan called again. "Xiao Chen, what did you say to Su Lijing?" "Today, after my meeting, he came to the entrance of the courtyard to invite me for tea. His words were strange." On the other end of the line, Wu Shan was extremely puzzled. "He keeps saying that I'm not honest, and that I'm guarding a mountain of gold and silver. I'm really confused by him. Have you guys settled the matter?" "More or less. Half of it has been settled." Chen Guang didn't quite understand what had happened either. "Haven't the punishments been revoked? What else do you want?" Wu Shan's tone was somewhat dissatisfied. He wanted to use his words to lecture Chen Guang again, but even Wu Tong wouldn't listen to him. Chen Guang was at most his junior, so it was even more impossible for him to listen to him. However, because Chen Guang wasn't that close to him, he couldn't contradict him like Wu Tong did. He only took a deep breath. "Uncle Wu, it's not that I want anything else. It's that justice needs to be done. Listen to me tell you 3 things. If you still insist that I should stop after listening, then I'll listen to you. Since your sister Wu Tong's father, I'll listen to you." After organizing his words in his mind, Chen Guang told Wu Shan about the 3 important things. They were about Ding Lu, the nurse, and the boy who was beaten into a vegetative state. As for the others, whether it was corrupting teachers and students, embezzling public funds, or even using his authority to steal meat from students, or using underhanded means to expel Guoming from the academy, they were all minor details. Wang Rin's actions were only unforgivable. "Uncle Wu, everything I said is the truth. If there's even one thing that isn't true, I won't pursue it. Of course, from my personal standpoint, I'm just meddling in other people's business. But since I know about it, I can't just ignore it. To be honest, this kind of thing should be handled by someone with your position. However, I understand your difficulties, so I won't ask for your help. I only ask that you don't stop me." As Chen Guang spoke, he tightly grasped the heavenly Holy Grail in his hand. He was waiting for Wu Shan's answer. He really didn't want to be a saint, but Wang Ren appeared in front of him again and again. It was as if something was testing his character. He couldn't help but ask in his heart, "Lu Li, are you testing my sense of justice? Is it true that only people with a righteous heart are qualified to become the owner of the heavenly Holy Grail? Don't think like that. The heavenly Holy Grail isn't that great." Unexpectedly, just as this thought came to his mind, Wu Shan was still silent, but Lu Li was now complaining in his heart. F*CK, can you give me some hints before you come out next time? Can you not scare me? Just like when you receive a message. It's not impossible. I can't be bothered. Fine, I'm afraid that you'll be stubborn. I just want to tell you to do whatever you want to do. Don't use me and the Holy Grail as a cover. Of course, things like temperament were indeed important, but he had only seen the spirit of heaven now. How is this relevant? There was still a difference of 108,000 miles. In short, the way you conduct yourself now can be summed up in one word. Just be a coward. Huh? Coward? Follow your heart. Follow your heart. In any case, do whatever you want to do. Don't leave any regrets in your heart. Let me put it this way. People who are always afraid of the slightest thing will sooner or later die on the path of the 3,000 worlds. Lu Li said very casually. Can you not talk about something as terrifying as death like it's a cabbage? Tell me secretly, how many redeemers have died before me? Lu Li chuckled. Not a single one, because you're the first. Just like what you guys always say when you do experiments, you're a lab rat. You're the first user of one of the 10 great artifacts of the endless God realm, the heavenly Holy Grail. Isn't it very cool to think of it this way? Very proud? Frankly speaking, after you've passed the 3,000 worlds, other than saving me, what else will happen? I'm also very confused. Are you happy? Do you like this feeling of surprise when life is full of uncertainty? F*CK your sister. Chun Guang realized that ever since he boarded this pirate ship, his life had already collapsed by half. Now that he knew that he was a lab rat, it was equivalent to collapsing by another 25%. I really do have a good sister, but she's a dear. Are you really interested? Let this lady introduce you to her. Lu Li chuckled. I'm not interested in big-breasted girls. You've been so mysterious lately. What exactly have you been busy with? I'm a little flustered. Chun Guang recalled Lu Li's busy look when the pencil statue was erected. If she didn't say something, he really couldn't feel at ease. I've already said that I have a big plan. Don't worry about it. Anyway, you won't die for a while. F*CK. What do you mean, won't die for a while? Don't be like this. You always have to make big news. This big brother is very tired of being a redeemer, okay? I can't be bothered with you, dog-biting Lu Dongbin. You don't know how to appreciate my kindness. Lu Li had always been impatient when talking to Chun Guang. She ran away after a few sentences, causing Chun Guang to grit his teeth in hatred, but there was nothing he could do. On the other side, Wu Shan finally made a decision. He took a deep breath and said heavily, To be honest, before you mentioned this to me, I didn't think that things would be this bad. Su Lijing is indeed a little too much. Then Uncle Wu, do you understand now? What do you think I should do? Chun Guang didn't want to argue with him anymore, so he asked straightforwardly. Chapter 395. Wu Shan pondered for a few seconds. If you can gather enough evidence and convince me, I'll personally contact the procuratorate for you. If it's just you, the procuratorate won't accept it. Wu Shan said, Although there may be a lot of hidden dangers, I can still handle it. But I won't let Wu Tong come back for a while. I don't want her to be involved in this matter, so don't talk to her. Chun Guang was overjoyed. Okay, then, thank you for your understanding. After hanging up the phone, Wu Shan leaned against the leather chair and closed his eyes for a long time. He then picked up the phone and dialed a number to briefly report his decision. Not long after, the other side replied with one word, approved. Wu Shan let out a long sigh of relief, and his eyes gradually became firm. His statement just now basically meant that Wu Shan was indeed going to go against Su Lijing. Perhaps he wasn't as righteous as he was before Chun Guang, but he still couldn't make up his mind to make enemies for no reason. After all, It's meaningless for him to kill all his enemies in one fell swoop. After all, with his identity and status, he couldn't do things as willful as Chen Guang. His every move had a lot of implications. But if Chen Guang had enough evidence, why not take this opportunity to get rid of Su Lijing? Su Lijing was a scholar who had turned to politics from the academic world. He and Wu Shan were not on the same mountain, and they had been competing against each other for a long time. Hidden under the surface was an everlasting undercurrent. Wu Shan felt that it was time to establish his power. Before the next election, he could take down Su Lijing to establish his power and improve his own status. Offending one group of people would naturally bring him closer to another group of people. He didn't need to explain these things to Chen Guang. After receiving Wu Shan's permission, Chen Guang immediately turned around and returned to the tea house. He briefly talked to Wu Shan and Guoming about his phone conversation with Wu Shan. Old Han and Guoming were worried, but in the blink of an eye, there was light at the end of the tunnel. Therefore, the three of them decided to split into 3 groups. Guoming set off to Danghai to contact the young nurse who was the victim. Old Man Han, on the other hand, made a trip in his private capacity and paid a visit to the family who lost their son. Chen Guang, on the other hand, was preparing to head to Ding Lu's hometown in the southeast province with Hualing. Once he decided to do it, he had to act at lightning speed. It caught Su Lijing off guard. When Chen Guang and Hualing arrived at Zhongsha City in southeast province, it was already the afternoon of the next day. They were so busy that Hualing did not even have time to move. That morning, Hualing was still groggy from last night's alcohol, so she dragged Chen Guang to the phaeton. Zhuo Jingxi had wanted to come as well, but she really couldn't leave the laboratory. Chen Guang also didn't suggest that she move. It wouldn't be good if Su Lijing's spies in the academy noticed anything unusual. I say, you 3 big sisters are too much. I won't say anything about getting drunk once. When I first arrived at the laboratory, I thought that I had entered womanland, but now I realize that the 3 of you are all drunkards, and his alcohol tolerance was especially bad. This is not womanland. This is Wine Fairy Grove. Chen Guang couldn't help but complain as he dragged Hualing, who had vomited so much that she could barely take care of herself, out of the car. Hualing put one hand on the telephone pole. Can you blame me? The ups and downs of life come too fast. Normal people can't stand it, right? Do you think everyone is as insensitive as you? The 2 of them rested for a while in Zhongsha City in southeast province, and then continued to Yanting County. Ding Lu's hometown was located in a rather remote mountain village in Yanting County. Unexpectedly, the highway from Zhongsha City to Yanting County was only half built. After getting off the highway, they turned into a provincial road. Now they were in trouble. Who would have thought that this provincial road could actually change Chen Guang's understanding of bad roads? Even the god of racing had to kneel on the ground and sing surrender when encountering this kind of muddy road. At this moment, Chen Guang only hated that he didn't buy a Wrangler SUV. Although the phaeton was good, it didn't have a lot of territory. Hualing, on the other hand, was calm. After the alcohol gradually dissipated, she became quite talkative. She pulled Chen Guang and bragged about all kinds of interesting things she had seen and heard in northeast China. When she was happy, she even sang a song. To be honest, Sister Hualing, your singing is no better than Deputy Director Han's. Chen Guang almost broke down because of Hualing. Hualing asked curiously, when have you ever heard Deputy Director Han sing? Forget it. I shouldn't have mentioned this to you. Chen Guang quietly turned on the car stereo and played a classic song. He turned the volume up and managed to calm Hualing's broken voice. They had originally planned to drive to Yanting County before tonight, but because of the terrible road conditions, they finally arrived at Lingshan County, which was adjacent to Yanting County, when the sky was completely dark. It was about 40 kilometers away from their destination. The 2 discussed for a while and decided not to leave. They would continue their journey tomorrow morning and rush there through the night. On one hand, Chen Guang was too tired. On the other hand, Ding Lu's family was probably already asleep. There was no need to fight for half a day's time. The 2 had dinner together. When they checked in the hotel early, it was almost 8:30 at night. Hualing put one hand on the door of her room and deliberately put on a flirtatious look. She winked at Chen Guang. "Little brother, I've been thinking about it. I think the Passat is not bad. It can barely be considered a BMW 3. Why don't you give me a chance to cry in the BMW? Look at this long night. It's not easy for the two of us to get together and come out for a walk. How can you let me sleep alone at night?" As she said that, she proudly raised her eyebrows and licked her lips. They were quite familiar with each other now. Chen Guang was already quite familiar with her straightforward personality. He turned to look at her. "I calculated with my fingers and found out that Sister Hualing's shoulders are wider than mine. Little Ko, I like the cute type. I really can't fall in love with you with thick eyebrows and big eyes. Bah, tell me honestly, are you interested in Teacher Zhua?" Hualing saw that her flirting didn't work and revealed her foxtail. It turned out that Zhong Yuehua and Hualing had long felt that Chen Guang and Zhua Jingxi were secretly flirting with each other. They thought that the two of them had an unusual teacher-student relationship. A woman's gossipy nature had awakened. Hualing couldn't help but want to test the waters while they were going out together. Chen Guang was shocked. "How did you know?" "Damn, it's true." Hualing was also shocked. "Damn, I've been tricked. I'm too lazy to talk to you. I'm going out for a walk. There's nothing going on between me and Teacher Zhua." Chen Guang turned and ran away. He couldn't stand the thick eyebrows, big eyes, and big waist of his senior sister's eyes that were burning with the spirit of gossip. "Hey, where are you going?" Hualing said anxiously at the door. Chen Guang waved his hand. "I remember an acquaintance from Lingshan County. It's rare for me to come here, so I'm going to meet her." He really wasn't looking for an excuse. Fan Lingshan's family lived in Lingshan County. After confirming that he couldn't reach Yanton County tonight, he made up his mind to visit that family while he was here. Ever since the kidney transplant surgery, he hadn't contacted Fan Lingshan's family for more than a month. He didn't know how the aunt who donated the kidney was doing. He couldn't say that he didn't know how to be grateful after giving money to others. Money was just a worldly possession, and it couldn't compare to 1/10,000th of the kindness of a kidney donation. When the call went through, Fan Lingshan's voice on the other end sounded like she was crying. The fruit supplement bag that Chen Guang was holding fell to the ground with a thud. That aunt had just passed away. Chapter 396. After hanging up the phone, Fan Lingshan's sobbing voice still echoed in his ears. He really didn't expect that the Annie would be gone forever after not seeing her for a month. He wasn't that sad. After all, he had only met that Annie a few times and didn't even speak much to her. In order to get that Annie to donate her organs, Chen Guang even offered a sky-high price and gave her all the benefits he deserved. He didn't know her anything. But now that he knew that she had really passed away, Chen Guang only felt extremely disappointed. Compared to many people, the first half of his life wasn't that lucky. He was a second-generation rich kid, but his family suddenly went bankrupt and his mother fell seriously ill. But he was even luckier. At the most difficult time of his life, Luli descended from the sky with the heavenly Holy Grail. Although the divine emperor was very deceitful, he was still helping him while tricking him. In just 2 months, he had already turned over a new leaf. So compared to Fan Lingshan, his luck couldn't be mentioned in the same breath. The greatest pain in the world was when a child wanted to take care of himself, but his parents didn't. He had gone through all kinds of difficulties and dangers to save his mother's life in the end. But Fan Lingshan's mother's illness was different. Modern medicine hadn't reached the point where it was possible to replace a person's head, so there was no cure. He casually threw the fruits and supplements to the beggars by the roadside. He then bought a flower basket and wrapped a thick stack of cash in plain paper. Then, Chen Guang jogged back to the hotel. Before he left, he called Hua Ling and told her that he didn't know when he would be back at night. He told her to be careful and not to open the door easily. Then, Chen Guang started the car and headed straight for Three Saints Town, which was about 5 kilometers away from Lingshan County. Fan Lingshan's mother's mourning hall was placed on the main street of the town. It could be seen about 200 to 300 meters away. Fan Lingshan knelt cross-legged in the mourning hall with her head lowered. She gripped her phone tightly and sobbed from time to time. Her originally delicate and pretty face looked especially miserable because her eyes were red from crying. People kept talking in her ears. Fan Lingshan's eyes were a little numb, confused, and at a loss of what to do. In these 3 days, she had seen too many things that were beyond her knowledge. 3 days ago, after struggling for a long time, his mother finally ended her painful life. Fan Lingshan would always remember the words she said to her as she clutched her hand tightly before she died. No matter what others said, money you can't let go. He couldn't let go of a single cent. Even if you really want to help a relative in the future, at the very least, you can't say anything before you graduate from university. Fan Lingshan didn't quite understand why her mother would make such an arrangement. In her opinion, since her mother used her kidney to improve the lives of the whole family, a portion of the money should naturally be given to her father, grandparents, and other relatives. Shauna, listen to me. You don't understand human nature. You've always been weak. As long as you give yourself a chance, these people will use all kinds of reasons to force you and threaten you until you're completely eaten. After saying this, Fan Lingshan's mother breathed her last. Back then, Fan Lingshan had actually lied to Chen Guang and changed her mind to marry her to another family. It wasn't her idea at all. It was also her mother's idea. It was just that she felt guilty and didn't want her mother to bear the blame. So she deliberately lied in front of Chen Guang. However, Chen Guang could vaguely guess this. He didn't talk much with Fan Lingshan, but he could tell at a glance that she was an inexperienced girl. How about you go back on her words? Little Shan, you can't do this. When your mother was sick, second aunt was busy at the side. Now, your mother can finally walk on a steady path. You can't just take the 4 million alone. Besides, you haven't even graduated from university. You don't have any social experience. What if you get cheated? This second aunt, whom Fan Lingshan had only seen for the past 2 years, was talking to her. Fan Lingshan vaguely remembered that a year ago, she gave her family a bag of rotten apples. Little Shan, your cousin is getting married soon. We haven't found a house yet. You also know that we don't have a house in the village. How can we get a wife? Your cousin is counting on this for the rest of his life. Annie, I won't be thick-skinned and ask you for money. I'll write you a note. I'll borrow 200,000, right? It's not that I won't return it. Xiao Shan, I was the one who accompanied you during the surgery. If it wasn't for me, that rich man would definitely renege on his debt. Little Shan, how can you be so selfish? For the past 3 days, similar words have been tossing and turning in Fan Lingshan's ears like a nightmare. Ever since her mother made her will and asked the bank to transfer the 4 million in cash to her name, Fan Lingshan felt that the relatives around her had completely changed. She felt very lost. Deep in her heart, she didn't want to be too selfish, but those were her mother's last words. Now that her mother's body was still warm, no matter how weak she was, she didn't want to easily disobey it. But she had already held on for 3 days, and she felt that she couldn't hold on any longer. As for her father's situation, she was afraid that it was not much better than her. Similarly, there was a large group of people around her father, saying how could he give so much money to a child? As a father, he didn't even care about it. All kinds of aunties have been whispering in Fan Lingshan's father's ears for a long time, and this behavior had completely reached its peak in the past 3 days. Finally, Fan Lingshan's father couldn't sit still anymore. He was persuaded. He felt that everyone was a family, and they should help each other when they were in trouble. He had completely forgotten that when Fan Lingshan's mother was terminally ill, these relatives who spoke better than they sang at this time all hid far away. It wasn't until the matter of the kidney donation was completely settled that these relatives appeared one after another from inexplicable places, looking as if they were treating her well. Xiao Shan, listen to Dad. We can't be ungrateful people. There's so much money, you can't spend it all by yourself. You should take it out and share it with everyone. We're a family. We can't be too selfish. Fan Lingshan was still holding her phone tightly, looking at her father with a dull face. Dad, ungrateful? When Mom was sick, they didn't really help us at all. Mom barely had enough money for the surgery. Didn't you use all the things in the family to get a loan? What did they help us with? Fan Lingshan's father was stunned. It seemed like this was really the case. Xiao Shan, what nonsense are you talking about? Our Fan family doesn't have people like you. Let me tell you, this is illegal. A family's money should be shared among the family. That's right. We could go to court to sue you. You'll go to jail. If you don't settle this matter today, don't even think about going to university. Finally, it seemed like someone couldn't sit still anymore. He slammed the table and stood up. This person's outburst was like the fuse of firecrackers. For a moment, the large morning hall suddenly became noisy. More and more people slammed the table and stood up, pouncing on Fan Lingshan. It was as if Fan Lingshan had really done something that angered the heavens and the people. These relatives that she was familiar with in the past had become demons, ghosts, and man-eating beasts. One by one, they pounced on her, pulling at her clothes and tearing at her hair. She didn't quite understand whether what these people said was true or not. Her mother had left her inheritance, written a will, and her father had also signed it. Why did she have to share it with these relatives that she basically didn't interact with? Am I really breaking the law? It wasn't clear who made the first move, but Fan Lingshan's hair was pulled from behind, and she was thrown to the ground. For a moment, the morning hall was in chaos. Under the illumination of the night lights, faint figures were cast on the white curtain outside the morning hall. Chun Guang, who had just stopped his car, thought that he had walked into the underworld. What was going on? He couldn't help but be angry. Someone came to the morning hall to cause trouble. He had long heard that people were threatened and extorted by gangsters when they were organizing morning halls, but he didn't expect to see it in person today. It was said that the dead were the most important. Were these people looking for death? My arm is starting to ache. My hands are going to be stained with blood. He slammed the car door and rushed over with a flower basket in one hand. He didn't really see what was going on inside, but he shouted, "Everyone stop!" Chun Guang's strong voice suppressed the noisy crowd. Many people who were desperately trying to get in shuddered and turned to look at him blankly. Who is this person? Isn't this that rich man who gave Lingshan's mother 4 million? There were still people who remembered Chun Guang, and the eyes of these quick-witted people lit up. Could it be that this rich man also heard that Lingshan's mother had passed away and rushed over to give her money because of her kindness? Indeed, someone in the crowd whispered, "This young man is very generous." Everyone, stop making a fuss. The last time he came to the ward, he gave her 100,000 yuan. This was indeed effective. Immediately, a person who looked like an elder in the crowd tidied up his messy clothes and walked forward with a smile. "This is Mr. Chun? Hello. I've heard a lot about you. I'm Lingshan's uncle." As soon as this person finished speaking, another person rushed over and pushed this uncle away. He reached out to grab Chun Guang's hand. "Hello, Mr. Chun. I'm Lingshan's uncle, Fan Jitong." The people who were originally surrounding Fan Lingshan suddenly changed their target and pounced on Chun Guang. Although Fan Lingshan had more money on her, she was still here. If they couldn't reach a deal today, they could continue another day. However, this person was different. He might leave after giving the money, and there wouldn't be many opportunities to talk to him in the future. The last time he just visited the ward, he gave her 100,000 yuan. Now that she was dead, he would have to give her at least 200,000 yuan, right? Chun Guang was at a loss. Why was the situation different from what he had imagined? What happened just now? "Where's Fan Lingshan?" Chun Guang asked. Before anyone could answer, he saw Fan Lingshan gritting her teeth as she stood up from the ground. Her hair was unkempt and her clothes were tattered. There were a few bloody scratches on her face, and she looked extremely pathetic. Chapter 397. Chun Guang ignored the people who rushed over and furrowed his brows. "Excuse me, please." The identity of being rich was indeed useful. Seeing that Chun Guang wasn't too happy, the Fan family's relatives thought it was because there were too many people crowding around and annoying the rich man, so they quickly moved aside. Chun Guang pushed aside the people in front of him and quickly walked over to Fan Lingshan's side. As he passed by Fan Lingshan's father, he acutely realized that the father didn't dare to look him in the eye. Something was wrong. He walked directly in front of the pitiful girl and smiled at her. Then he reached out to help her straighten out her torn clothes. "Didn't I already say that if there's anything, you have to tell me? I'm your brother, and I have to help you." In reality, Chen Guang was only 2 years older than Fan Lingshan, but Fan Lingshan raised her head and stared at him. She didn't know why, but even though she hadn't spoken much to this brother before, after seeing his smile, this girl's heart that was about to shatter gradually glued back together. Just by standing next to him and listening to his gentle words, Fan Lingshan's heart gradually became a pillar of support. Yes, she nodded heavily. Chen Guang patted her shoulder and looked at her awkward clothes. He didn't think too much about it and took off his t-shirt to cover her head. His loose t-shirt covered Fan Lingshan's body, and it looked a little comical. As for Chen Guang, he only had a single piece of clothing, and the moment he took it off, his muscles were exposed to the light. In an instant, his scholarly aura disappeared, and he looked like a rude and unreasonable person. It doesn't really fit, so please forgive me. As Chen Guang spoke, he rearranged the fan mother's memorial table that had fallen to the ground. He then picked up the fruit platter and the incense burner on the ground one by one and arranged them neatly. Finally, he put the flower basket he bought on the memorial table. He reached out and straightened the portrait that had been shaken askew. Then, Chen Guang bowed to the portrait 3 times and said heavily, suddenly hearing this grievous news, this junior Chen Guang is very pained. I hereby swear that from now on, Fan Lingshan is my, Chen Guang's sister. I will protect her for a lifetime of happiness. I will not let her suffer in the slightest. From a moment he stood next to Fan Lingshan and took off his clothes for her to the moment he finished speaking. None of the Fan family relatives dared to come up and say anything. The indescribable aura that Chen Guang was forcibly suppressing completely enveloped this bizarre and dazzling morning hall. He understood that from the moment he entered the house until now, he hadn't seen a single relative on Mother Fan's side. They were all on Fan Lingshan's father's side. Although he didn't know the specific reason, it was clear from a noisy scene just now that these damned relatives of Fan Lingshan's father were forcing her to do something. All of the reasons could be summed up in one word: money. Dirty, despicable, and ugly. At first, the Fan family members didn't understand what was going on, but halfway through Chen Guang's words, they sensed that something was wrong. We didn't bully Lingshan. That's right, it's so weird. In the face of money, even a coward could be a little more courageous. Chen Guang didn't pay attention to these people's words. Instead, his gaze focused and became extremely fierce. He shouted, "If this oath is violated, this table will be destroyed." As soon as he finished speaking, his hand rose and fell. His right hand fiercely slammed down, and the solid wood table in front of him shattered. After the clamor, the morning hall became deathly silent. These people clearly hadn't seen anyone smash such a large table with a single slap. Chen Guang's face was grave and stern, appearing especially callous. Then, he pulled Fan Lingshan outside. "If you have anything to say, let's talk outside. It seems like there's no way to have a proper conversation here." Under the watchful eyes of everyone, Chen Guang used his left hand to pull Fan Lingshan out of the morning hall step by step. No one dared to stop them, and no one dared to say a word. Why did he pull with his left hand? Because his right hand was in extreme pain. He thought it was a cypress table, but it turned out to be beech. He had been plotted against. The two of them walked out of the morning hall for a long time before Fan Lingshan finally burst into tears. The suppressed sadness in her chest could be heard. "Take me away from here. I don't want to stay here anymore," Fan Lingshan suddenly said. Chen Guang first turned to look at her, then glared at the restless people. The Fan family relatives who had planned to follow didn't dare to move. All right. At that moment, Fan Lingshan's father quickly caught up. Chen Guang originally thought he wanted to keep the two of them, but unexpectedly, he gritted his teeth and said, "Mr. Chen, thank you. I know you're good to Lingshan. Take her away. There's a letter here. Her mother asked me to give it to her." When this weak man said these words, there was an inexplicable determination in his eyes. Fan Lingshan looked at her father rather perplexedly and reluctantly. Originally, she thought that if he insisted on keeping her, she might not leave. Fan Lingshan's father waved his hand fiercely. "Go. You'll understand once you read the letter. In a few years, If you miss me, come back to see me." Having said this, he turned and returned to the morning hall. The other Fan family relatives seemed to want to say something, but then they looked at the shirtless Chun Guang and thought of the broken table on the ground. In the end, no one dared to follow. Chun Guang drove leisurely back to the county seat, while Fan Lingshan finished reading the concise and comprehensive letter. What does the letter say? Chun Guang felt that there was something wrong with her current state. Fan Lingshan tore up the letter, opened the car window, and scattered the shredded paper outside. She turned her head to look at Chun Guang. "Brother, I'm afraid I really won't have a family in the future." On the way, the two of them talked a lot. Chun Guang knew that it was no wonder the Fan family's relatives were so strange, even crazy. It turned out that when her mother married over, she brought her with her. In other words, she wasn't a biological daughter of the Fan family. After her mother passed away, she no longer had any blood relations with the Fan family. It seemed that because her mother gave birth to a daughter out of wedlock, she had a bad relationship with her parents. All these years, her mother had never returned to her parents' home, and usually never mentioned it to her. Perhaps the Fan family's relatives were afraid that sooner or later Fan Lingshan would find out about this, so they just wanted to get the money out as quickly as possible. If it wasn't for Chun Guang's timely appearance, perhaps the Fan family's plan really would have succeeded. To be honest, I'm not really good at comforting people. At a loss for words, Chun Guang felt that if he was in Su Tao's shoes, he would probably go insane if he found out that his father, who had raised him for nearly 2 decades, wasn't his biological father after his mother passed away. Fan Lingshan almost went crazy. She seemed to be talking to herself, but also seemed to be complaining to Chun Guang about something. "They really never told me that my father." As she spoke, she fell silent again. Chun Guang didn't say anything to interrupt her. This kind of thing could only rely on her own. After a long time, it wasn't until Chun Guang parked the car in the hotel parking lot that Fan Lingshan finally came back to life. "Actually, my mother wasn't such a stingy person. Maybe if these relatives had treated us better when she was sick, she wouldn't have said that to me before she passed away. I was even willing to give them $3 million. No, as long as they could keep the money for me to finish college, I could give them the rest." Fan Lingshan's tone revealed a sense of desolation. Chun Guang didn't quite agree with her point of view. "I think that a man who is never content is like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. Such a big family. Don't look at how much money you have. If everyone really came to take a bite, it might not be enough even if you sold yourself." Chun Guang had only seen similar things in the online news. He didn't expect to actually encounter it himself. The most unpredictable thing was the human heart. Originally, Chun Guang didn't make up his mind to take her away, but since Fan Lingshan really had nothing to do with that family, naturally there was no problem. Unexpectedly, she was even more determined. Not only did she want to leave the family, but she also didn't want to go to school. "I want to quit school." She said so. "Actually, my college entrance examination score was enough for Gokyo University, but they said that it would be too expensive to study in another province. Southeast Institute of Technology has more financial aid, so they insisted that I apply to Southeast Institute of Technology. I want to change places, change the environment, otherwise they will definitely come to me." She had really been too shocked today. Chun Guang pulled the handbrake with a creak. "I already said that I recognize you as my sister. With me around, they can't do anything to you. But you also have to do your own things. This is really too troublesome for you." Chun Guang thought for a moment. "What troublesome? It's not like you don't know that going to university is a big deal. Anyway, I have nothing to do, so I just want to get a diploma. In short, you are still in a rush to quit school. If you can, why don't you try to apply for a suspension? It's not easy to get into a university. Look at me. I'm already so rich, but I'm still studying in school. It's a diploma." Although he didn't want to admit it, Chun Guang felt that it was quite good to be a brother. Since he became very rich, he had a completely dispensable attitude towards a bachelor's degree. But when he put on the mentality of a brother to teach others, he felt justified. In the end, Fan Lingshan listened to Chun Guang's suggestion and decided to apply for a leave of absence when school reopens. As for now, Chun Guang decided to bring her along with him and sent her back to her hometown after he returned to the Chuan province. In fact, he wanted to go back to his hometown, but his father firmly disagreed. This time, I brought back a cheap daughter for you. You cannot let me go back, right? Hualing felt that she was about to collapse. She slept in the middle of the night, but was abruptly woken up from bed. Chen Guang, who said that he was going out to see an old friend, actually brought back a delicate girl. He was even bare-chested. Although you are a little handsome and quite charming, young man, you don't seem to have a good private life, do you? How can you face Teacher Zhua, who flirts with you all day long? Chapter 398. You're really good at picking out people you know. Hua Ling rubbed her sleepy eyes and took Fan Lingshan into the room. Fan Lingshan looked at Hua Ling in surprise. Is this my sister-in-law? Chen Guang snorted, sister-in-law my ass. Big brother's sense of beauty is worlds apart from thick brows and big eyes. This is senior sister Hua Ling, and she's here with me. Sister Hua Ling, stop making wild guesses. This is my sister. Anyway, it's a long story. Let's talk about it tomorrow. Let's get some rest tonight. The next morning, they were woken up by a commotion downstairs. The Fan family finally mustered up their courage to catch up. They finally understood that if Mr. Chun took Fan Lingshan away, the 4 million would be gone forever. So they called their friends and pulled together a team of a few dozen people. They rushed to the county town before dawn. They remembered Chun Guang's license plate number last night and finally found themselves in the biggest hotel in the county town. Although the hotel had some connections in the underworld, they couldn't do anything when they saw the crowd. The moment Chen Guang opened his eyes, the hotel manager came up to him. Mr. Chun, you should go down and take a look. We don't know what's going on. The people downstairs are going crazy. When Chen Guang returned to the window and looked down, he was also startled by how excited everyone was. They're practically going crazy. Actually, he wanted to keep a low profile on this trip, but it seemed like he couldn't keep a low profile anymore. Most of the people downstairs had seen him at the morning hall last night. Other than these familiar faces, there were also 5 or 6 people in uniforms. Under the temptation of money, the wisdom of the crowd was limitless. Indeed, Mr. Chun, you are a rich man. You seem to be very good at fighting. You might even have a few powerful bodyguards with you. But so what? We have more people. Not only do we have more people, but Fan Lingshan is also a member of the Fan family. How can we just let you take her away? She is a member of the Fan family. The money is our family's money. For a million. Therefore, not only did they come themselves, but they also reported the case. In fact, strictly speaking, Fan Lingshan's situation was far from serious enough to be reported to the police. However, she was a big family after all, and Lingshan County was only so big. Who didn't have a few friends? With all sorts of nonsense and promises of benefits, it was not difficult to pull a few people from the Lingshan County Police Station to keep up appearances. After looking at it for a few minutes, Chen Guang knitted his brows. This matter has become troublesome. There was a knock on his door. When he opened it, he saw Fan Lingshan and Hua Ling standing outside. Both of them had dark circles under their eyes. It seemed like they had spent the night talking by candlelight. Before Chen Guang could speak, Hua Ling spoke first. Chen Guang, let me tell you, we can't ignore Lingshan's matter. Her relatives are too much. Hua Ling clutched Fan Lingshan's hand tightly as she spoke. Her eyes were filled with pity and heartache. I was the one who held her back when she tried to sneak away. What do you think she's thinking? Let's not talk about the amount of money. This has nothing to do with those aunts and uncles. They're robbing. Lingshan's mother's body hasn't even turned cold yet, and they're robbing her. What right do they have? How can you think of giving them the money? Fan Lingshan didn't dare to look at Chen Guang. She had almost run out just now. Chen Guang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He patted Fan Lingshan's head. What are you doing? Even if the sky falls, I'll be here. All right, stay in the room and don't go out. I'll go down and take a look. Don't be silly again, or I'll really get angry. What should be yours will be yours no matter what. No one can take it away from you. With that, Chen Guang went downstairs without giving Fan Lingshan a chance to speak. Sister Hua Ling, I really don't want the money anymore. Fan Lingshan said as she dragged Hua Ling into the room. The relatives of the Fan family downstairs became excited when they saw Chen Guang go downstairs. Some of the young men even wanted to rush up with sticks in their hands. However, they still kept it to themselves. The scene of Chen Guang shattering a wooden table with a slap was still fresh in their minds. No matter how loud they were with their mouths, it was impossible for them to not feel fearful when it came time for them to go up. It was the uncle from yesterday. He seemed to be the most capable person in the Fan family. Mr. Chen, we didn't want this to happen because you're Shan's benefactor. But you really can't blame us. Shan is our family. How could you just take her away like that? Besides, if it wasn't for Ling Shan's mother, your mother would have passed away long ago. You can't be ungrateful, the first uncle said with a smile. However, the fatty beside him wasn't as polite and said with a cold expression, "You're Chen Guang, right? If you let Fan Ling Shan come downstairs now, we can pretend nothing happened. Otherwise, you'll be suspected of kidnapping." Ignoring the two of them, Chen Guang looked around the crowd and asked, "Where's Ling Shan's father? Don't talk nonsense. If you don't hand her over, don't even think about walking out the door." A young man jumped out. He was Fan Ling Shan's cousin who wanted to get married. "Looks like Ling Shan's father isn't on the same path as you guys." Chen Guang smiled. "I don't want to reason with you, because it's meaningless. You and I both know the reason, but you still came. I underestimated the power of money. Otherwise, I would have left last night. I'm curious. The kidney was donated by Ling Shan's mother. What does it have to do with you guys?" As for the inheritance, Ling Shan's parents had already signed on it. It was fair and legal. Now that Ling Shan was an adult and had reached the age of 18, she had absolute control over her own assets. No matter how you look at it, it has nothing to do with you guys. Let's not talk about whether you guys are related to Ling Shan by blood. Even if you guys are really her relatives, you don't have the right to say anything, do you? How can this person be so shameless to this extent? Of course, I'm just talking nonsense to you guys. You guys understand the reason and everything. But if you don't make a scene, how can you get money? This is reaping without sowing. You guys don't have any qualms about swallowing your niece's bones without spitting out the skin. Seeing that the fatty was about to speak again, Chen Guang turned his head and glared at him. "I don't care how much they promised you. If it was another time and place, I might be willing to use money to resolve this matter. After all, money isn't a problem to me. But now I'm not happy, and I don't want to spend money. So, you can wait to become famous. Come, let's take a picture." When Chen Guang finished speaking, he took out his phone and snapped a few photos of the crowd before him. "What are you doing? Give me the phone." The fatty roared, wanting to snatch the phone. Chen Guang raised his leg and kicked him in the chest, sending the fat man flying. "Who the F***CK dares to touch me? I have hundreds of millions in assets, and dozens of people are lining up to take the blame for me. I don't go to jail for murder. Who dares to come up?" Chen Guang roared. He didn't need to prepare a draft to brag. He really scared the Fan family's relatives. Seeing that they were all silent, Chen Guang found it funny. If only money was so useful. It would be a joke to use this to scare people like Su Lijing. But different people in different situations, they all believed it. "Don't be afraid. We'll block the door. He can't leave if he doesn't hand her over. I don't believe he dares to drive over our heads." The eldest uncle saw that the situation was not good. They couldn't control the situation with so many people, and no one dared to make a move. He immediately thought of an idea. "You guys take your time blocking the door. I'll say it again. Wait to become famous." Chen Guang turned around and returned to the hotel. The boss of the hotel was also someone with connections in Lingshan County. He had already called a dozen burly men to guard the entrance of the hall. The boss also helped Chen Guang take the blame. As the boss of Lingshan County, if something happened to his hotel guest, it must not happen in the hotel. It was a small matter if the hotel's reputation was ruined, but losing face was a big deal. When Chen Guang went upstairs, he was called by the boss who had rushed over after hearing the news. The two had a simple chat. He could find some big shots in Lingshan County to settle the matter, but Chen Guang told him not to be anxious. On the one hand, he owed such a big favor for no reason. On the other hand, he was unfamiliar with this place. After calling people, he still had to settle the matter with money. He was not willing. Chapter 399. Back in the room, Chen Guang turned on the hotel computer and began to write a joke. With the experience of writing Wang Rin's long article as a foundation, Master Wang, a veteran internet celebrity and a newly minted jokester, felt that it was a piece of cake. With thousands of words, he explained everything that had happened to Fan Lingshan from beginning to end. He also added some criticisms of the current society, such as what was wrong with the world, what was wrong with the society, and why human nature had become like this. Finally, he added a few freshly released photos. In the photo was Fan Lingshan's uncle, as well as the uniformed fatty's ferocious face as he tried to snatch the phone. The timing was perfect. It took him less than half an hour to finish writing this long article. He still had to thank the owner of the hotel. No matter how much the Fan family relatives and the uniformed fatty made a ruckus, they knew who the owner of the hotel was. In the end, they did not dare to force their way in. After the previous mindless post, the benevolent are not benevolent. The almighty Superman posted a new Weibo post. Now, the number of fans had slowly increased to more than 6 million. They immediately sent the news to him. Everyone was looking forward to this guy's new video. He knew how to sharpen a pencil, play the piano, race cars, and play the Dota. Not just in the general sense, but he was so strong that no one dared to challenge him. Many people were wondering what his next Weibo post would be, but they never expected it to be a long article. The title of the long article was The Relatives of Friends of Friends of Friends of Friends. The last sentence of the long article said, "At this very moment, my friend's friend's friend is being blocked by dozens of people in Lingshan County's Xinfeng Hotel. My mother passed away and couldn't mourn, so my father was kicked away by his relatives. I don't know how they reported the case. In short, my friend's friend became a kidnapper for no reason. What do you think? Other people's relatives are so scary." Frankly speaking, no one was very happy or satisfied that the almighty Superman had suddenly posted such a joke. An internet celebrity was about to become a public figure. What should we, the millions of fans, do? This kind of thing happened every day on the internet. Other public intellectuals would repost or write these long articles. Everyone would understand. After all, these people relied on this to make a living. But you're an almighty Superman. How could you do such a vulgar thing? Other than that, without verification, who would know if these things were true or false? Even in the comments, a guest of Xinfeng Hotel replied with a photo, which was taken from the window. It's true. However, there were still quite a number of people who felt that they were rational and smart. They would not be affected by such a low-end rhythm. They had the right to question the authenticity of this long article. The comments posted by the most intense fans could be summarized as follows. Brother Almighty has fallen. It's public knowledge. I've already unfollowed him. My fan has turned into a fan, and my fan has turned into a hater. Out of the 6 million fans, he lost a few thousand of them. Even a living person had its own disadvantages. If he decided to unfollow them, he might not be able to serve all of them well. However, Chen Guang did not comment on it. After all, he had a base of 6 million, so a few thousand was nothing. But no matter what, once this Weibo post was posted, even if its influence couldn't be compared to the previous videos, it still had a lot of influence on the internet. Fan Lingshan's cousin was bored from waiting. He sat down in the middle of the hotel entrance and took out his phone to browse Weibo. "Fan Xiaoji, you're still playing with your phone at this time?" The young man kicked his uncle. The cousin, Fan Xiaoji, chuckled. "Aren't we just idling around? That Qingai's car is there, and he can't leave anyway." "Uncle, this is called preparing for a protracted war. Wouldn't it be boring sitting here all day?" Uncle saw him acting like a hoodlum and did not say much. Instead, he turned to the uniformed fatty beside him and asked, "Brother Liu, why don't we just arrest him? Although that Chen Guang kid is quite rich, this is our Lingshan district. Even a powerful dragon cannot suppress a snake in its own territory. Why should we be afraid of him?" The uniformed fatty shook his head. 2 years ago, I could have arrested him directly. Now I can't. The internet is too advanced now. If we don't kill him directly, We can't do anything that will give others something to use against us. Once it gets out on the internet, the consequences will be dire. It's a big risk for us to help you today. This fatty was obviously very knowledgeable, but he also had his own considerations. Although they had taken pictures of her, they didn't beat her up, nor did they really arrest her. Fan Lingshan was a member of the Fan family, so it was only right for them to keep her. If it got out, they could say that they were just enforcing the law and making a normal inquiry. At this moment, Fan Xiaoji suddenly stood up and looked at the two of them. His face was ashen. "Uncle, Captain Liu, it seems the matter has already gotten out on the internet." Captain Liu took Fan Xiaoji's phone. 5 seconds later, he cursed, "D***MN. How did it happen so quickly? I have to contact the information department to cover this up. F***CK. I'm dead this time." Fan Xiaoji's face was bitter. One of the pictures that Chen Guang had taken was of Captain Liu, and the other was of him. It had not even been half an hour since that Chen guy said he wanted to make him famous, and now he was really famous. Wait, why are there so many comments on this Weibo? There are already tens of thousands of them? Captain Liu suddenly saw the number of comments and was shocked. His uncle did not know much about the internet, but seeing Fan Xiaoji and Captain Liu's pale faces, he knew that the situation was not good. This was posted by a super verified account. Many celebrities are his fans. Fan Xiaoji was also one of Superman's loyal fans on Weibo. He had been following him since the first video of him sharpening a pencil. How could he not know how powerful this person was? As expected, before Captain Liu could make the call, a call came in. It was from his boss. She scolded him harshly, spitting out a torrent of abuse at the slightest disagreement. Then, she told him to stay where he was. She had to stabilize the emotions of the Fan family. If something went wrong, everyone would be in trouble. After waiting for another 10 minutes, another large group of people came. This time, they were not accomplices of the Fan family's relatives. They were all legitimate public servants. This was called maintaining stability. After a while, the Fan family was escorted back dejectedly. This was called an illegal gathering. Fan Lingshan and Hua Ling were watching from the window of the other room. They were so excited that they jumped 3 feet high. "Sister Hua Ling, why do you think the Superman posted this?" Fan Lingshan was overjoyed. Hua Ling looked next door. Although she did not understand what was going on, she knew that it must have something to do with Chen Guang. "Your brother has a lot of connections." Fan Lingshan was confused. "That doesn't make sense. My classmates have been thinking about this person recently. They said that many people are searching for the Superman, but they can't find him. Does brother know him?" "Of course he knows him. Otherwise, why would he post on Weibo so quickly?" As the two were chatting, Chen Guang pushed the door open and came in. He waved his hand. "Let's go." "Brother, you know Superman?" Fan Lingshan asked as she carried her bag. "Of course. We're in the same boat." Chen Guang laughed. Fan Lingshan and Hua Ling were shocked. They did not expect him to know him. "Really?" "Of course." Hua Ling chuckled. "Can you help me get an autograph from him? I'm a fan of his." Shaking his head, Chen Guang replied, "I've asked him some time ago, and he said that his dream is to become a fan maniac. After thinking about it, I feel that it's best for you guys to stay away from him. That person's signature is filled with filth." The team from the east had grown. After nearly 2 hours, the 3 finally arrived at Ding Lu's hometown. It was Hutto Village, Yanting County, at the end of the mountain road. I heard that Hutto Village only has 3 or 4 students a year. There are even fewer students from key universities like Gokyo University. That's why Ding Lu's dropping out of school was a big deal in the village. It's a small place. If something happens to a family, it'll spread like wildfire in a day or two. Hua Ling said. The 3 of them could not find a suitable place to park their car in the village. With no other choice, Chen Guang drove the car into the small courtyard of the village government and gave the guard 100 yuan. The guard patted his chest and accepted the job. Along the way, Fan Lingshan was stronger than expected. Although she would stare blankly in the direction of her hometown from time to time, she did not show any signs of sadness or loneliness in front of Chen Guang and Hua Ling. The 3 of them walked along the mountain road, for about half an hour. Hua Ling pointed to the mountain in front of them. "It's over there, Xiao Lu's home." Chen Guang looked up. A dilapidated tile-roofed house was located halfway up the mountain. The trees around the tile-roofed house were cut down, making the house look particularly lonely. "Don't talk later. Let me do the talking," Hua Ling said. "I was here when Xiao Lu was buried. Her parents knew me." "Okay," Chen Guang said. Ding Lu's parents were very typical farmers. When Ding Lu entered university in her freshman year, her father went on a long trip with her. Before that incident, this family was considered a distinguished family in Hudo village. Whenever people in the village talked about Ding Lu, they would give her a thumbs up. Perhaps the higher a person was, the harder they fell. Good news spread far and wide, but bad news spread far and wide. What happened to Ding Lu was a devastating blow to this family. However, when Hua Ling attended the funeral last time, she did not dare to tell the truth. She was afraid that the family would fight Wang Ren to the death. How could these people be a match for Wang Ren? Su Lijing could casually think of a way to put them beyond redemption. When they approached the tile-roofed house, they found that it was empty. The house had become extremely dilapidated in less than a year, and half of the walls had collapsed. The three of them asked a passerby where the Ding family had gone. The passerby said with disdain, "The daughter of the Ding family was so disgraced. She seduced a teacher when she failed her exams. She moved away long ago. If it were me, I wouldn't have the face to stay in the village." Chen Guang was about to lose his temper, but Hua Ling stopped him. The cherry tree grew alone at the back of the yard. Its branches and leaves seemed to have been badly damaged by the naughty children. Every time it bore fruit, it was the time of the poor tree's downfall. The three of them stood under the tree, and they could almost smell the anger and dissatisfaction in their noses. The iron box had been corroded by the humidity underground. It might not be found in another 2 years. When they opened the iron box, a pungent smell came from inside. Inside was an old-fashioned phone with nuo buttons, a pair of white underwear stained with blood and a few brown spots, and a letter. It was addressed to Hua Ling, Xiao Ling. "By the time you read this letter, I'll have been dead for a few years. I was scared by Wang Ren. I really didn't think it would be so serious to let someone look at my exam paper. On Saturday, when he asked me to talk to him, I should have realized something was wrong. He asked me to treat him to a meal to suppress the matter. I really thought it was just a meal. I'm ruined. I don't have the face to see Long Ji. It's my fault. I shouldn't have told Long Ji about this. I thought he would understand and forgive me. Actually, I should have been like other girls and said that I don't like you anymore. That way, maybe we can break up peacefully. I didn't expect this, not even in my dreams. No one understands me. Everyone is blaming me. I can't go back to school, and my family hates me. The world is so big, but I don't know where else I can go. I heard that people who commit suicide will become ghosts. I hope I can become a ghost too. That way, I can go find Wang Ren for revenge. But there are no ghosts in this world. I can't become a ghost. I understand that. Actually, I just feel that there's no meaning in living anymore. Xiaoling, I don't really want you to do anything for me. It was difficult, really difficult. Or perhaps it should be said that it was impossible. Vice Principal Su has talked to me. Many of the high-ranking officials are his students or friends. He also said that if I dare to continue to cause trouble, he will make my 2 brothers who are working outside die on the construction site. All I have to do is pay some money. That's too scary. Don't ruin your life because of me. If you do, I'll feel sorry for you. I just want to leave something behind, but I really don't know who to talk to about this. You're the only one left. I know this will cause a lot of trouble for you. With your personality, you'll feel terrible. Forgive me for being stubborn for the last time. I was wearing this underwear that night. It has my blood and Wang Ren's semen on it. I've been hiding it. There's a recording on my phone. It's also from that night. What if someone wants to deal with Wang Ren in the future? What if someone wants to deal with Su Lijing? If what I left behind can be of even the slightest bit of help. Ding Lu, final words. Hua Ling read the letter word by word with tears in her eyes. Ding Lu's was written very calmly. It was filled with a despairing coldness. She used her own calm strokes to clearly write down how she walked down the path of suicide step by step. There was not a single exclamation mark. It was like she was talking about someone else's story, but every word made the hearts of the people who read and listened to the letter ache. Chen Guang gently closed the metal box. Looking at the two girls who were already in tears, he said softly, "We will avenge her." In Chen Guang's 21 years of life, he had never hated someone as much as he did now. Su Lijing's slightly flattering smile that day outside Wang Ren's room appeared in Chen Guang's mind again. But there was only one word that came to mind: cannibalism. Chapter 400. The battery of Nuaji's phone was completely broken. Fortunately, there was nothing wrong with the phone itself. The voice recorder should still be there. Chen Guang and the others returned to Wujing City the next afternoon and settled Fan Lingshan down. Zhua Jingxi's apartment had completely collapsed. Although Hua Ling had moved out, there was now Fan Lingshan as a tenant. What made Chen Guang even more depressed was that he had originally planned to rent another room in this district to hide his sister. In the end, Zhua Jingxi's maternal instincts were triggered by Fan Lingshan's misfortune. She refused no matter what and insisted that Fan Lingshan move into her house. Chen Guang did not plan to let anyone else get involved in what happened next. He had Wu Shan's protection. Whether or not he could bring down Su Lijing in one go, he had nothing to fear. But Zhua Jingxi and the others could not. "What? You wanted to go abroad?" Wang Ren, who was lying in the ward, looked at Su Lijing in front of him blankly. "I think something is wrong. You should leave the country as soon as possible." Su Lijing looked a little tired. "I've already arranged the plane ticket and passport for you. You can leave the day after tomorrow." "Annie, help me persuade Uncle. I don't want to go abroad." Wang Ren threw a tantrum on the bed. "I don't understand English at all. Why would I want to go abroad for no reason?" Of course, he did not want to leave. In the eyes of ordinary people, going abroad was a wonderful thing, but Wang Ren did not think so. Why would he want to go to an unfamiliar place? There was also a language barrier. In the country, in the Chuan province, everyone had to give face to Su Lijing, his nephew. He would be treated well wherever he went. Even if he did something wrong, there would be people to clean up after him. But once he went abroad, he did not know English and had no friends. Su Lijing's face was no longer useful. To him, it was no different from going to jail. Other than that, he did not do anything while lying on the bed. He could not let go of the fact that he had beaten up Chen Guang so badly. What kind of joke is this? I don't believe that Chen Guang is the descendant of some big shot in the military. Chen Guang's school record is clearly in the academy, and I've seen a long time ago. His 3 generations had all lived in Lulai County in Great Chuan Province. How could he have any powerful background? In his opinion, Su Lijing's conjecture had no basis at all. Unfortunately, he was unable to convince Su Lijing. Wang Ren felt that his uncle was getting old and had become timid. "I've suffered such a huge loss and grievance, yet you don't want to stand up for me. Instead, you want to send me abroad. I absolutely won't agree. If you don't stand up for me, I have my own social connections now. I can only rely on myself." His buddies from back then had already made a name for themselves in the 5 capital underworld. Wang Ren knew that no matter how good Chen Guang was at fighting, there had to be a limit. So he decided to get more people to surround Chen Guang. After all, Chen Guang couldn't possibly overturn the heavens. "Xiaoren, listen to your uncle. Listen to your uncle. No matter what, go abroad and hide for a while. You can come back when the situation is clear. We don't really want you to leave. No one can bear to part with you. But we don't know the attitude of the higher-ups. I'm afraid." Wang Ren's aunt was, of course, his biological mother. Although everyone knew this, Su Lijing didn't allow him to change the way he addressed her for so many years, so he kept calling her that. Wang Ren rolled his eyes. What attitude from the higher-ups? "Uncle, who else can there be? Moreover, I didn't do anything extraordinary. The money I took is not even 1% of what most people get. I just fooled around with a few women. What's the big deal?" Su Lijing waved his hand impatiently. "If the matter doesn't get out, of course it's nothing. But the situation outside is a bit tense. Recently, my eyelids have been twitching. It's better to be safe than sorry. If the things you did get out and people make a fuss about it, I'll be in trouble too." Wang Ren still did not believe him. Don't joke around. Uncle, you have to think about your own status. Who dares to mess with you? I don't believe it anyway. You see, I've been injured for the past few days. How can I move around now? What if I become disabled? All right, I won't say any more. Even if you have to be carried on a stretcher the day after tomorrow, you have to be carried on the plane. Su Lijing slammed the table. Uncle, it's not that I want to talk back to you. It's just that I really can't move around now. If I move my body slightly, my spine will hurt like a knife. The doctor said that my spine is cracked. You can't just watch me be a vegetable for the rest of my life, right? Wang Ren looked at Su Lijing. Yes, it's my fault. I deserve it. Who asked me to become someone else's son? I can't cause trouble for you. All right, I got it. I'll go, okay? As he spoke, the loneliness in Wang Ren's voice became stronger. His face also showed a trace of desolation. This was a tried and tested trick. As expected, Auntie's heart immediately softened. She gripped Wang Ren's hand with extreme grievance, then turned to look at Su Lijing with a tormented expression. Attention! Why don't we wait a few more days? It's fine. The injury on Xiao Ren's back is really too serious. You can't act recklessly. Seeing the mother and son echo each other's words, then looking at the bandage on Wang Ren's head, Su Lijing finally softened. All right. I have to go next week. I'm going to a meeting. Xiao Ren, I'm leaving too. Don't worry too much. It'll be fine after a while. Don't be fooled by your uncle's fierce look. In fact, he has a sharp tongue, but a soft heart. Originally, he didn't want you to say it. Actually, we've already found you a good investment company and let you be the vice president. You should read some books when you're free. When you come back from abroad, you could be the vice president. After waiting for about an hour, a bald man came to Wang Ren's room. Brother Wang, I've asked someone from school. That kid came back yesterday. If you think it's suitable, I'll bring 8 or 9 of my best buddies to beat him up tonight. You can decide how you want to beat him up. Breaking his arms and legs is no problem. The people I found are all capable. The man said with a smile. He didn't take Xinguang seriously at all. Chao Guangtou, you're a good friend. You know how to stand up for your brother. Wang Ren's mood, which had sunk because of Su Lijing's attitude, gradually became excited again. Brother Wang, I don't like what you're saying. Isn't it all thanks to you that I, Chao Guangtou, am where I am today? The hardest thing in life is to provide help in times of need. Brother Wang, I'll remember your kindness for the rest of my life. Chao Guangtou rubbed his head and smiled like the Buddha. He was very clear about Wang Ren's background. He knew that no matter what happened outside, as long as he held on to Su Lijing's thigh, he would be able to form a relationship with Su Lijing. If you don't lose the child, you can't catch the wolf. If he helped Wang Ren settle this matter, their relationship would deepen. As long as Su Lijing didn't fall, Chao Guangtou wouldn't fall. This gamble was worth it. Xinguang left his car in the parking lot of the Digital City and took a taxi to the Huili Peak District on the E2nd Ring Road. It was Wu Shan's home in Wujing City. After waiting in the district for about an hour, Wu Shan finally arrived around 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening. It was time to talk openly. Chapter 401. The two did not waste any time. In Wu Shan's house, Chen Guang laid out Ding Lu's suicide note, underwear with semen stains, and an Woji mobile phone with its battery repaired. Chen Guang listened to Ding Lu's recording together with Wu Shan. The 30-minute recording was filled with indecent moans, miserable howls, and Ding Lu's anguished and desperate cries after the drug had worn off. Most of it was Wang Ren's extremely arrogant sarcasm. Ding Lu, you have to understand that I slept with you because I thought highly of you. If not for your beauty, I would have expelled you for cheating. Stop crying. Don't you find it annoying? Slap. It was the sound of a slap, followed by Ding Lu's scream. Let me tell you, if you annoy me, no matter how well you serve me, I will still kick you out of the school. Think about it carefully. Your family has put in so much effort to get you to study here. If you get expelled, will you be able to face your family? How can you be so insensible? It's not like you'll lose a piece of flesh if you sleep with me. There are so many women in the school who want to climb into my bed, but they don't even have a chance. You're lucky, you know? Ha, what a joke. You want to sue me? Go ahead. Do you think I've never been sued before? It doesn't matter if I tell you. There are at least a row of people who have sued me and want to sue me. But so what? I'm still sitting here, riding on top of you. No one could do anything to me. I will count to 3. If you continue to cry, I will call 7 or 8 people to come and have sex with you. Even if you die in bed, tomorrow's news will only be, female student addicted to drugs died in a hotel after overdosing. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? After a moment of silence, the man's crazy growl and the woman's painful moans were heard again. Bang! After listening, Wu Shan slammed the table. Shameful. Hateful. Hateful. This is simply appalling. Chen Guang silently put away his phone. Uncle Wu, do you think this is everything? What else? Chen Guang narrowed his eyes. There are 2 more videos. Next, he used his mobile phone to play the 2 videos provided by Guoming. Perhaps the video about the nurse would hurt the privacy of the person involved, but it couldn't be helped. After watching these 2 videos, Wu Shan was silent for a long time. Unexpectedly, Chen Guang said, "It's not over yet. In fact, if it were just these things, I would have only wanted to deal with Wang Ren." However, the victim, Ding Lu, had called her friend before she died. She told me that Su Lijing's threat had made her retreat. Su Lijing used the lives of Ding Lu's family members to threaten her to keep the secret to herself. Wu Shan's pupil shrank. Is that so? Where's the evidence? Chen Guang shook his head. There's no evidence, but I don't think there's anything to doubt about this, right? If not for Su Lijing's protection, how could Wang Ren be so arrogant? I talked to Su Lijing at the hospital before. Do you know what he meant? He didn't have the slightest hint of repentance. He kept saying that he would reflect on himself, blame himself, and reflect on his mistakes. But Uncle Wu, think about it. It was 2 lives, a girl's entire life, destroyed by Wang Ren's hands. And this is only what we know and see. God knows how much more evil is hidden beneath the surface. How could he treat this so casually? This is the new China, not the old society. What right does a government official have to ride roughshod over the nobodies? Just because he's a government official? Just because he has power and influence, he can do whatever he wants? Why? The more Chen Guang spoke, the more agitated he became. He even subconsciously slammed the table with his hands. Wu Shan, who was sitting opposite him, couldn't help but feel a little awkward. You can't say that. Chen Guang realized that he had gone overboard. Su Lijing and Wu Shan, who was sitting opposite him, were both officials. He had accidentally scolded Su Lijing too. Putting aside the fact that Su Lijing wanted to help him and was a high-ranking official, from a personal point of view, Su Lijing was Wu Tong's father, and Wu Shan was his junior. I was too excited and didn't know what to say. Uncle Wu, please don't take it to heart. Chen Guang's words made Wu Shan even more speechless. It's fine, but I think you should control this matter on Wang Ren first. From what I know, Su Lijing doesn't have many problems in other aspects. I have more information than you do. Su Lijing isn't a greedy person. He's only interested in fame. Perhaps he's also quite diligent in his studies. He's someone who values both knowledge and politics. Wang Ren is indeed his only shortcoming. But in other words, even if we know that Wang Ren wouldn't have been able to do such a crazy thing without him, it's still Wang Ren's fault. I'm afraid it'll be difficult to use this as an excuse to bring down Su Lijing. Chen Guang took out a few more items. They were the substantial evidence he had obtained from the various experimental equipment sales companies. Even with this, we can't touch Su Lijing. Wu Shan looked at it first, then shook his head. This is all Wang Ren's doing. It has nothing to do with Su Lijing. Isn't this enough? Isn't this clearly corruption? Su Lijing is the deputy of Gokyo University. Not to mention his connections all over the world. Just from his personal status and the contributions he has made, we can't touch him just because of a conjecture. Even if Wang Ren is sentenced to 10 years, 20 years, or even a life sentence, even if the whole world knows that Wang Ren's nephew is his biological son, he hasn't done anything from the beginning to the end, right? Wu Shan said slowly. Chen Guang didn't want to talk for a long time. I have 2 questions. First, why can't Wang Ren be sentenced to death? Second, even if I send Wang Run to prison, I can only watch Su Lijing sit in that position, manage his connections, and let Wang Rin change from a life sentence to a life sentence. And a life sentence to 10 years? 10 years to 5 years? After a year or two, he'll be free and unfettered again? As the head of the political and legal system in Dachuan province, Wu Shan felt a little embarrassed by Chen Guang's words. What nonsense are you talking about? How can a law be taken lightly? Aren't you slapping my face? Unexpectedly, this time Chen Guang didn't give Wu Shan any face. He just smiled bitterly and shook his head. Uncle Wu, I've seen a murderer come out after a year and a half. It's true. Wu Shan's face stiffened. He subconsciously wanted to refute him, but he couldn't believe what Chen Guang was looking at him. After a while, he pondered for a long time and said heavily, "Actually, there's a way." Chen Guang's eyes lit up. What do you mean? There are two ideas. First, from the start of the public prosecution, I'll push it from behind. That way, once Su Lijing realizes that I'm involved, he won't fight back too strongly. Anyway, Wang Rin's crime doesn't warrant the death penalty. To him, as long as he doesn't die, it means he'll be fine. Second, from the start, I'll hide behind the scenes and do nothing. Even if Su Lijing communicates with me, I'll disassociate myself. In that case, he'll try to protect Wang Rin. As long as he makes a move, he'll give himself away. This is the only way to drag Su Lijing into this mess. When Chen Guang heard this, his eyes lit up. I understand. The first method can easily send Wang Rin to prison, but the second method will be met with all kinds of resistance, right? Wu Shan nodded. That's right. It depends on whether you can withstand Su Lijing's pressure and get the public prosecution out without my help. As long as you can hold on until the public prosecution is held, I can make my move at the most crucial moment. Wu Shan gritted his teeth. But it's very difficult. Although I don't want to admit it, it's the truth. Su Lijing has been operating in Dachuan for many years and has deep roots. It's very difficult to stir up a storm under his feet. You have to be mentally prepared. It's fine. If I didn't have the courage, I wouldn't have done this. Chen Guang smiled. Good. I'll wait for your good news. I, Wu Shan, never make promises easily, but I promise you right now that I won't let you down. Wu Shan's words were as heavy as 1,000 caddies. After leaving Wu Shan's house, Chen Guang's bag was filled with a lot of evidence. Next, he had to rely on himself. When he returned to Computer City, he drove his car out and found a hotel to stay in. He didn't go back to school. Instead, he called Zhuo Jingxi and said that he had a lot of things to do. He asked her to help take care of Fan Lingshan. Originally, he was counting on Wu Shan to help pull some strings and then launch a public prosecution through the prosecutor's office. Now, he suddenly changed his mind. He had to rely on himself. Chen Guang was at a loss, but he wasn't discouraged. Ideas could always be thought of by others. He didn't know what methods Su Lijing would use to create obstacles, but it was necessary to distance himself as much as possible from everyone else. He locked himself in his room for the whole day, racking his brains, but he still couldn't find a clue. Old Master Guang's face was full of tears. Although the old man was very determined, it was still very stressful to do such a high-end thing all at once. Around 8 o'clock in the evening, he received even worse news. Through his own channels, Wu Shan quietly found out that Wang Rin's passport had been processed and that he had even bought a direct flight ticket for next week. If he couldn't start the public prosecution process before Wang Rin got on the plane, he could only watch him fly away. God knows when he would come back. If he waited for a year or two, who knows if Wu Shan would still be in Dachuan province by then. Once Wu Shan left, even if he really did start a public prosecution, it would probably end in nothing. Chen Guang fiercely drank a mouthful of strong tea, expressing the old man's determination to kill the enemy, but he didn't know where to start. Just when he was having a headache, he suddenly received a pleasant surprise call. It was from Lu Fei. Chen Guang slapped his forehead hard. I'm also stupid. If I don't understand these things, I can find someone more powerful to ask. Chapter 402. Learning and practicing for time to time. Among 3 people, There must be a teacher. Wu Tong was sent away, and Chen Guang did not want to drag her into this, but there was still Lu Fei. There was no need to drag Lu Fei into this matter. There was no need for that. But it was okay to just communicate with her and ask her for some advice. After all, she was a big shot who could lose 500 million a year. It was not difficult for her to give him some advice. Chen Guang immediately rushed out of the door and drove his Passat straight to the private clubhouse where Lu Fei and Zhong Bai and the others used it as a stronghold. When Chen Guang arrived, there was a small accident. When he parked his car too close to the BMW 5, a lad jumped out and pointed at Chen Guang. "Why are you driving a lousy Passat away from my car? You'll have to pay for it if it scratches the paint." Chen Guang was speechless. "I am at least 3 palms away from you, okay? Besides, I am buying 3 of your cars." The club security guard, who was helping to direct the parking, could not help but say, "Dude, this guy is driving a Phaeton. The cheapest one costs 800,000 to 900,000. The man was unhappy. He turned to the side and pointed at Chen Guang's car logo and shouted, "This is clearly a Passat." Chen Guang looked at the security guard happily. This young man was good and knew the business. "I admire you very much. What do you know? Keep a low profile, understand? This is called low-key luxury. Do you understand? I bought a Phaeton to keep a low profile. I deliberately removed the car logo and replaced it with a Passat to be more low-key. Why do you have to come out and ask for a beating? Is there a hole in your brain?" "You." Before he finished speaking, Chen Guang punched the tree next to the parking space. The thick trunk shook violently, and the small fruit and bird's nest on it fell and hit the roof of his BMW 5. "What do you want to say? Come on, speak louder and be brave. I will lend you some courage." Chen Guang looked at the BMW gentleman with a smile, but he didn't dare to let out another fart. Chen Guang glared at him, turned around, and walked inside. "I'm very busy. I don't have time to waste with you here." The security guard of the club was also shocked. How much strength did this guy have his fist that could bend such a thick tree by more than a few inches? Today, Lu Fei had called him over for no other reason. It was just a group of people gathering together to chat, drink, chat, and sing for leisure. Anyway, they had nothing to do. This was how this group of people were. When they were busy, it was common for them to fly to 2 or 3 cities in a day. When they were free, they would also play around freely. Of course, Lu Fei had another purpose today, but it was not convenient to say it over the phone. Originally, she was worried that Chen Guang wouldn't be willing to come. She didn't expect him to readily agree as soon as she said it. After entering the door, he saw a large group of people sitting in the private room. Lu Fei was being pulled by someone, saying something impatiently. When she saw Chen Guang coming, she showed an overjoyed look. She quickly got up and leaned in front of him. She took his hand and said with a smile, "Brother Guang, I'm really sorry that I didn't go out to meet you." Chen Guang was a little embarrassed by her public intimacy. She was too enthusiastic and almost pressed half of her body on him. "What's going on?" Lu Fei put her mouth close to his ear again. "Oh, don't blame me for taking matters into my own hands if I say it. Can we say it all at once? You're making me feel very uncertain. Did you see that handsome man? I didn't see him. In my world, I have manually deleted all the men who are more handsome than me. In my heart, he is not as handsome as you. Did you see him? Your suitor? Yes. I'm almost annoyed to death by him, so I used you as a shield." Lu Fei whispered in his ear, her breath fragrant. Chen Guang glared. "Damn, if he can annoy you to death, he must be a rich second generation. The arrow in front of him is 100 steps poplar arrow installed on a Huangzhong bough. My shield is made of old yellow vine. I'm too low end. I can't take it. The old man isn't feeling well. I'll leave first." How could Lu Fei let him go? She grabbed him tightly and pressed him down on the seat. As soon as Chen Guang sat down, Zhong Bai came up to greet him. He had a strange and meaningful look on his face. There were about 17 or 18 people here today. Chen Guang didn't know many of them, but when they saw that Lu Fei valued him so much, they all came over to greet him. Because of Chen Guang's previous request, Zhong Bai and the others wouldn't mention his identity as the god of racing in front of outsiders. But other than this, Chen Guang didn't seem to have the qualifications to talk to the people here on equal terms. Fortunately, he had no desires. When people came up to greet him, he just laughed and considered them acquaintances. He didn't ask for anything from these second generations. Lu Fei's party was said to be a gathering of young people to have fun, but the people who came here were also in groups of twos and threes. They were either chatting about things they were interested in or talking about business collaborations with their families. In just a short time, there were already 2 business deals worth over 100 million that had been reached in private. Although Chen Guang was now a person with a net worth of 100 million, it wasn't impossible for him to use his connections to talk about business. But now that the money was in Liuli's hands, he wasn't even interested in talking about it. There were too many people at this time, so he couldn't talk to Lu Fei about his troubles. But Chen Guang wasn't in a hurry. He could ask Lu Fei in private when the party was over. But there was one thing that made him particularly unhappy. It was that the arrow that Lu Fei asked him to block was a little too fierce. Yu Mengchang, Chen Guang didn't know him, and he didn't know what his background was. But since he could make Lu Fei feel a headache and impatient, but there was no way to drive him away, it was obvious that this Mr. Yu's background wasn't that simple. From the moment Chen Guang sat down, this Mr. Yu looked at him with an unfriendly gaze. It was very well hidden, but under Chen Guang's preconceived vigilance, he was still able to see through it. He always asked about Chen Guang's affairs in a roundabout way, and Chen Guang also found it very difficult to deal with him. Why haven't I seen Brother Chen in this circle before? What does Brother Chen's family do? Food and beverage industry. What a coincidence. The Luo Ji chain restaurant is run by my cousin. Currently, it's doing well in the province. There are about 70 franchises, and he has some experience. We can meet up some other day to talk and exchange more information. By the way, the bosses of the big restaurants like Four Seas Pavilion, Zhaoyu Restaurant, and Hailing Pavilion often keep in touch with me. I heard that they plan to organize a Sichuan Province's food and beverage industry conference. I wonder if anyone from your family will be attending? The restaurants that Yu Mengchang mentioned, Chen Guang had basically heard of them. They were really the giants of the food and beverage industry in Sichuan Province, and they were all very pretentious. Unfortunately, the food and beverage industry that Chen Guang mentioned used to be a hot pot restaurant in a small county, and now was bankrupt to the point where it couldn't be any more bankrupt. This conversation couldn't continue. This was only a part of his tragic encounter tonight. No matter how he tried to pull the topic, Yu Mengchang seemed to be really knowledgeable, and he could say everything clearly. However, although Yu Mengchang's words revealed a hint of arrogance, there was always a spring breeze-like smile on his face. This made Chen Guang not even have the right to flip the table and leave. They were all adults with status, and acting like a child would only make them look childish. This Yu Mengchang was amazing, although he looked like he was only a few years older than Chen Guang. Even when it came to things like snatching women, he was magnanimous and methodical. He was obviously sick of it, but Chen Guang just had to argue with him. No wonder Lu Fei couldn't do anything to him. Chen Guang ruthlessly pinched the butt of Lu Fei, who was pretending to be daydreaming, and secretly hated her for asking him to block such a powerful opponent without saying a word. Unexpectedly, under the pain, Lu Fei pouted coquettishly. She couldn't control her emotions for a moment, and her moan carried too much charm, causing everyone in the room to have goosebumps when they heard it. Damn you, taking advantage of me again. Lu Fei giggled and stretched out her finger to poke Chen Guang's forehead. Obviously, she also realized that using normal methods really couldn't make Yu Mengchang lose his mental balance and obediently retreat. So she could only use this unwise method. No matter how good Yu Mengchang's temper was, he felt sour and especially uncomfortable because of Lu Fei's actions. He didn't know how many years he had chased Lu Fei, but he didn't even hold her hand. What was the background of this kid called Chen Guang? He appeared out of nowhere, skipped countless stages, and directly became in this relationship with Lu Fei? How come I have never heard of such a person in Sichuan Province before? Zhong Bai and the other 2 or 3 people sat together, seemingly chatting, but in reality, he had been staring at the subtle changes in Yu Mengchang. Yu Mengchang is really angry this time. Zhongbai muttered softly. Let's go and help Brother Guang out? Sister Lu Fei didn't do it properly this time. Duan drank a mouthful of wine and said in an even softer voice than Zhongbai's. Zhongbai shook his head. Not properly? I think it's very proper. It's very proper. What do you mean? Zhongbai had an unfathomable look on his face. You guys don't understand. You really don't understand. When he said this, Zhongbai's face looked like an enlightened monk who had seen through the world of mortals. Yu Mengchong sat on the sofa, feeling extremely uncomfortable all over. If it was his normal personality, he would directly ask, what is the relationship between Chen Guang and Lu Fei? But he really didn't dare to open his mouth. He had even been avoiding this topic, afraid that he would really hear from Lu Fei's mouth that Chen Guang was actually her boyfriend, and so on and so forth. Looking at this brother's bitter and unspeakable look, Chen Guang felt that he was extremely pitiful. He's as handsome as me, definitely richer than me, and more mature and steady than me. No matter how you look at it, he's the Prince Charming in the eyes of modern women. Unfortunately, it's useless. Talking about love isn't like treating someone to a meal. The internal and external conditions aren't the core elements. To put it bluntly, it's fate. Otherwise, we can just build a big data system and analyze the situation of all the men and women, find the most suitable couple, and skip the dating phase. You guys could just get married. It's definitely the most suitable. Who would believe that? Relationships, even people can't understand it. Chen Guang didn't know what was going on in his mind, but he subconsciously smiled bitterly and patted Yu Mengchong's shoulder. Yu Mengchong and Lu Fei were shocked by his actions. Brother, you're really honest. You can even sympathize with a love rival? Looking left and right, Chen Guang also realized that his actions were too pretentious. Damn, this is so awkward. I have to quickly say something or do something to divert these people's attention. Chapter 403. All right, brother Yu. This name of yours is quite cultured. During the Warring States period, there was a... Who was it again? Chen Guang slapped his forehead and suddenly had an idea. He had indeed thought of a good idea to divert his attention. Of course, he knew that Lord Mengchong was just playing dumb. Yu Mengchong's mouth twitched, and he drank a cup of tea heavily. Lord Mengchong, my family gave me this name because they hoped that I could inherit the tradition of the ancients and do business well. Chen Guang nodded. Impressive, impressive. I heard that the Mengchong family in Qi has 3,000 hangers-on. It became a popular story. Brother Yu, I can tell that you are a successful person with just one look. I'm so jealous. Yu Mengchong had forgotten about the psychological trauma caused by Lu Fei's coquettish grumbling. He seemed to have returned to his previous pretentious routine. He chuckled. Lord Mengchong does have 3,000 hangers-on, but they are all petty thieves. Those little tricks are not worth mentioning. We modern people can't do that when doing business. Very good. He was back to his pretentious routine. Chen Guang let out a long sigh of relief. Recently, because of the matter with Wang Ren and Su Lijing, he really did not want to provoke any more enemies. Yu Mengchong, this person, may be smiling and elegant now, but the more this kind of person was, the more it meant that he held a grudge in secret. Sigh. I won't come to such an occasion again, especially when there are outsiders around. I really feel uncomfortable all over. I'm not used to it. When is it going to end? The old man is here to ask for help. Why the heck is he using me as a shield? Forget it. Let me think about it first. Activate auto-recovery mode. 10 minutes later, Chen Guang could barely remember what he and Yu Mengchong talked about. Anyway, he was thinking about things related to Wang Ren and Su Lijing in his mind while he chatted with Yu Mengchong. He also clinked glasses with Zhongbai and the others who came up to toast him. When he finally reacted, he realized that he had unknowingly been dragged to the center of the club's private room. There was a dartboard too, 37 meters in front of him, and he was holding a dart in his hand. What kind of tone was this? He looked around and found that Lu Fei, Zhongbai, Yu Mengchong, and Duan were all looking at him with expectant or strange expressions. Chen Guang silently swallowed his saliva and let the old man carefully recall. What happened during that period of time? Why am I standing here with this thing in my hand? What did I just agree to? Ever since she started chatting with Yu Chong, she felt that she had successfully led him into the gutter. She wasn't good at dealing with situations like this, so she simply went on a mental journey and activated auto-recovery mode, leaving everything to her spine. Then, he seemed to talk about his hobbies and hobbies. The old man's spine expressed that as an all-around superhuman who was proud of being pretentious, hobbies, and the like, that was the old man's usual pretentious domain. He could not lose in pretentiousness. Yu Chong knew that Lu Fei liked racing, so he briefly mentioned that he had a professional racing team. He had an ulterior motive. In order to pick up girls, he directly created a racing team. This guy was also quite hardworking. Then the old man, Lu Fei, and even Zhong Bai, who was on the side, showed little interest. The old man almost spilled the secret request that he had personally said. If he knew that he was the racing god, he would immediately kneel down. Fortunately, Lu Fei stepped on his foot to stop the car. Lu Fei tried to smooth things over. She said that underground racing and professional racing were two different things. There was no comparison. Then, Yu Chong changed a few ways. Finally, he mentioned that he was particularly interested in darts. He had just participated in a tournament and won the championship. How could he be embarrassed? How did I deal with him at that time? At this moment, Chun Guang was racking his brains. I seem to have bragged that I'm quite experienced in throwing darts. Coincidentally, this club really did have equipment for a professional darts tournament. Lu Fei and the others would play with it from time to time. Then, I seem to have been encouraged to make a bet with Yu Chong. So, I used darts to compete with him here. What do we bet on? Money? 5 million. F***CK. The price of my absent-mindedness is terrible. The escrow mode is a bit of a scam. Holding the dart in his hand, cold sweat dripped from Chun Guang's temples. He turned his head and glared at Lu Fei. Sister, why didn't you stop me? How could he have imagined that Lu Fei would be shocked by his overflowing confidence? It was as if he had returned to the scene of him driving a small Rena and leaving everyone a few kilometers behind on Fengquan Mountain. What was a god? A god could do what ordinary people couldn't. When it came to racing, Chun Guang had already used his ironclad achievements to tell everyone that he was a well-deserved god that people could only look up to and worship. He was a god that they couldn't get close to or touch. Perhaps it was because they loved the house, or perhaps it was because Chun Guang's automatic recovery was too overbearing, but Lu Fei, Zhong Bai, and Duan Wan, who knew how miraculous Chun Guang was, never imagined that he was lying through his teeth. So the problem was, now that he had agreed to the bet of 5 million and the dart was in his hand, wouldn't it be too late to admit defeat now? What should the old man do? It wasn't much, really not much. It wasn't even a fraction of what I had in my bank account. But I used to be a thrifty young man who could split a penny into two. This was 5 million. You wanted to give it away for free? Dream on. Why don't you cut a piece of meat for me? I feel more comfortable then. Of course, the biggest problem now was that he clearly had money in his account, but he didn't dare to touch it. Lu Li, the scourge and fierce beast, was watching. Chun Guang suddenly thought of a slogan that worked every time. That's right. It was time for him to shout and roar in despair in his heart once more. Liuli, please save me again and again and again. I didn't want to talk to you at first, but you're really lucky. Lord Liuli, who would grant all requests, actually spoke. Chun Guang was moved to tears. I knew that even if I was abandoned by the whole world, Lord Liuli would not give up on me. Dear Liuli, can you control the time and specific content of the appearance of the world in a cup? Chun Guang asked expectantly. Unexpectedly, Liuli shook her head fiercely in his heart. No. Then why are you acting all high and mighty like I can save you with just a flick of my finger? Can we be more honest? Less tricks, more sincerity, and we can still be friends. Liuli chuckled. I can only tell you this. Before 12 o'clock, there must be a world in a cup. But what is the specific content? I can't say for sure. I can't say for sure when it will happen. In short, you should pray for more luck. Think of a way to delay the time. Don't brag and drink more water. Maybe when you drink more water, the world in a cup will appear. That makes sense, but God knows how much I have to drink. When Chen Guang spoke again, Liuli had already stopped moving again. It seemed that she was really busy. Then he silently looked at the people who were looking at him expectantly. Chen Guang's originally suspended heart felt a little more assured. He looked up at the wall clock on the wall. It was 11:30. Thank God. There was only half an hour before 12 o'clock. Then the problem was, now he was standing on the line of throwing darts, holding a dart in his hand. How could he waste this half an hour and keep drinking water without batting an eyelid? Brother Guang, hurry up. Duan 1, the business manager of Donchong Trading Company, was like a young man here at this time. Zhongbai also looked at him with a face full of expectation. Yu Mengchang had already thrown a round of darts. Although Chang Guang didn't understand the scoring system of this international tournament, he knew that he had done well when he saw this guy's confident expression. Chen Guang took a deep breath. To tell you the truth, my dart skills are secretly passed down from my master. When I left the mountain, my master told me that the electric venomous dragon dart must not be easily revealed to the world. If it does, it will see blood. Huh? Everyone was stunned. How could throwing a dart be so particular? Of course, Yu Mengchang didn't believe him. He looked at him as if he was looking at an idiot, waiting for him to make a fool of himself. Yu Mengchang thought to himself, this guy is obviously bragging too much and is scared by my professional level performance. He's trying to bluff his way out of this. You guys definitely won't believe me, right? That was what he thought. Wait, why are these people's gazes different from what I thought? Lu Fei, Zhongbai, Duan 1, and a few other good young people knew that he was the god of racing. They didn't question his nonsense at all. I never thought that Brother Guang's venomous dragon dart would have such a background. Sigh, it really makes people sigh. Zhongbai actually said it smoothly. Yu Mengchang was blind. How could you guys believe such a shameful name like the electric venomous dragon dart? Even if he was really a martial artist, who would name his signature dish like this? Are you guys stupid? You guys actually believe this kind of nonsense? Yu Mengchang felt defeated. Had the world become strange? In his impression, Zhongbai was quite sensible. He didn't seem to have a screw loose in his head. There is no need to mention Lu Fei. 2 years ago, she was already famous among the younger generation of the Lu family. She was known as the pearl of the next generation of the Lu family. In the younger generation of Sichuan province, she was also considered a business genius. But why are you holding your chest with your fists and looking like you're a love-struck fool? This is completely different from the noble, cold, mature, and steady person you are in front of me. Of course, I said I would tell you guys about this, but it doesn't mean that I'm going back on my words today. It's a bet. Since I've already made the bet, how can I go back on my words? It's just that I can't see blood today, and I have to use my secret technique. So I have to tell you guys everything from the beginning to the end. This matter, I have to start from 18 years ago, oh no, 15 years ago, on a summer night when I was 6 years old. A bunch of nonsense. In short, it was all kinds of nonsense. He made up a groundless, strange old man, then made up an inexplicable hidden sect, then continuously bragged to everyone about his painstaking practice of his unique skills, training in the 9 seasons of winter and the 3 hottest days of summer. Then, from time to time, he would stuff the heavenly grail into his mouth again and again because his mouth was dry. After drinking 3 big cups of tea in a row, his bladder was about to explode, and he almost couldn't make up any more stories. Finally, the heavenly grail reacted and sucked him in with a slurp. It was said that some folk acrobats, after painstakingly training their knife-throwing skills to a certain level, would let their close companions be fixed on the target and then throw the knife out. They would always be able to avoid their companion's body and stab in the armpit or the gap between their legs. Through this kind of cruel and dangerous training, the knife-throwing skills of a knife-throwing artist could improve by leaps and bounds under the terrifying pressure. Of course, the danger was also extremely high. If one wasn't careful, they could lose their life. If it wasn't for the fact that they were tired of living or wanted to change wives, they wouldn't do this kind of thing. But today, Chen Guang said that this kind of training method of letting others lie on the target to throw darts or knives was simply too weak. What was really scary was that the person tied to the target was himself, and the person throwing the knife was also himself. Don't ask me how I know, because 5 minutes after I entered the world in the cup, I came up with the name 9 Knives Stuck in the Head. Chapter 404. At first, when he entered the world in the cup, he saw that he was holding a dart in his hand, and that there was a dartboard as tall as a person in front of him. He was very happy. Then, when he saw himself tied to the dartboard, he felt that it was very cute. He thought to himself, the world in the cup in the city sure knows how to play. They purposely made a model that looked exactly like the old man, and put it there for fun. Is this to increase the excitement when I bid? The old man just threw a dart first. Bayou, the dart flew out and stuck into the model's head. Ah, this is so funny. The feeling of shooting a dart and stabbing yourself is so weird. Look at how that idiot is grimacing in pain. It's so cute. Then he felt a sharp pain in his head. He touched his forehead and realized that there really was a dart stuck in it. It was in the exact same position as the model opposite him. Why is this happening? Does it mean that wherever I poke the model, my head will be stuck there too? What a scam. Don't ask me what I'm thinking. I only have one word in my mind, pain. Don't ask me why I won't die with a dart stuck in my head. Please ask the world in the cup. At this moment, he finally understood. Although he didn't know the theory behind the world in the cup, but without a doubt, he was the one who threw the dart and he was the one who got hit. This really wasn't to increase the excitement. It was to poke himself if he didn't practice it well. Chen Guang was sure that he was the first and last person on Earth to use his own body to practice darts. But the benefits were also very obvious. He improved very quickly, so quickly that it made one's hair stand on end. After experiencing the world of piano and this world of darts, he finally understood the power of the Kirin arm. In the sea of time, although he became stronger and better at fighting, he was still within the range of a normal person. But the Kirin arm allowed his hands to surpass that of a normal person. With such a magical pair of arms as a foundation, when he practiced other skills, it would be easier for him to surpass a normal person and become the strongest person in history. The logic behind this was similar to scientific research. You had to build a good foundation in mathematics before you could conduct other scientific research. That way, you would get twice the result with half the effort. Chen Guang's arms were stronger, so he could play the piano more steadily and last longer. Even the godly pencil sharpening skills or car racing skills that he had long practiced would be enhanced. Now that he had switched to throwing darts, it had the same effect. His super strength and control allowed him to form muscle memory even more smoothly and easily. The reward for completing the realm of punishment of the realm of life was just that tyrannical and useful. The strength of the Qilin arm wasn't just a simple increase in strength. It was equivalent to laying a better foundation for him to cultivate other skills. Of course, what he wanted to practice was not just his dart skills. The magical skills of the world in the cup were not something that could be mastered by winning a few championships. A product of the heavenly Holy Grail must be of the highest quality. Otherwise, he would not cultivate it all. If he wanted to cultivate it, he would have to cultivate it to the extreme. After turning himself into a hedgehog 99 times, he finally got to the point where he could hit wherever he pointed. Between the legs of the humanoid Chen Guang on the dartboard, between the two balls, he was able to accurately shoot 18 darts into the gap without any damage to the skin or flesh. What was it like before he mastered it? Old Master Guang said, "Let's not bother about the details of the past. Anyway, every time I turn into a hedgehog, the darts on my body will return to 0, okay? I used to be called Double Yolk Egg. There was a period of time when I changed my name to One Egg. After I completely turned into a hedgehog, I became known as Mei Yu Dan. Please retreat 10 meters. The throwing distance has been increased to 5 meters. Please accurately hit the red dot on the dartboard." As usual, the difficulty of the world in the cup was increased at the right time. The emotionless electronic voice of the heavenly Holy Grail sounded. "Oomph. You think you can make me retreat by increasing the distance? All right." The red dot lit up an inch below the old man's penis. "You're crazy. Why are you always making life difficult for my crotch? I'll fly." "Oh, no. Asshole. GG Smita. F asterisk CKMEY. Why did you start spinning at the slightest disagreement? My balls. Does this mean that the rotation of the dartboard is variable? Finally, Chun Guang stood 100 meters away, his back almost touching the edge of the world in the cup. The muscles on his arms swelled as he threw a silver dart. The silver dart drew a long parabola in the air and accurately hit a strand of armpit hair between the armpits of Chun Guang's crazily spinning body, nailing it to the dartboard. In ancient times, there was Huang Zhong and Li Guang who could shoot a willow tree 100 steps away. Today, there was Chun Guang who could nail a hair 100 meters away. Passed, test passed. Old Master Guang heaved a sigh of relief. After today, the old man had gained another godly skill. Little Chin's flying dart had never missed its target. From now on, the old man was no longer the old man of the past, but the old man who possessed long-range, destructive power. Luli was really busy and didn't waste time with him in the sea of clouds. She lifted him up with a kick, and when she came back to her senses, he had just reached the last sentence of his story. Everyone, the sect has ordered that the electric venomous dragon dart must be used, and it must see blood. But now is no longer the pugilistic world, but the golden age, so we don't need to fight and kill each other. So, before he finished speaking, Chun Guang's fingers trembled, and the dart suddenly flew out from his fingertips, hitting a spot half a meter above the dartboard. Yu Mengchong was stunned at first, but then he burst out laughing. Brother Chun, your dart is really accurate. You even missed the target in such a refreshing and refined manner. Zhong Bai, Lu Fei, and the others were also a little confused. Why did Brother Guang suddenly shoot the dart while bragging? That accuracy was a little embarrassing. There was a confident smile on Chun Guang's face. Zhong Bai, go and see what's nailed on my dart. Zhong Bai turned around and stretched his neck to look around. F asterisk CK. Why the hell is there a fly nailed on it? That's right. Human blood is blood. Fly blood is also blood. This is already considered to have seen blood. It doesn't violate the sect's rules. Without giving these people any time to complain about weakening his momentum, Chun Guang continued to straighten his neck and said coldly, Today the ultimate skill has been revealed, and it's the first to see blood. Now, I'll show you what it means to be a venomous dragon escort agency. Every dart will hit the target. Before he finished speaking, he turned around and walked to the back. He stood in the corner of the room, more than 10 meters away from the dartboard hanging on the pillar. He pointed to the front and said loudly, I don't really understand the rules of your tournament. Brother Yu, can you help me tell you what the rules are for a high score? Yu Mengchong was dumbfounded. The standard international competition distance is 37 meters, okay? Are you kidding me? Fine. Strictly according to the rules of the tournament, pretentious players can stand further away to throw the dart. But no one would be so pretentious as to stand more than 10 meters away. Are you serious? Yu Mengchong had only participated in formal competitions and met professional players. He had never seen such an unorthodox way of doing things. Chun Guang nodded. Of course I'm serious. My skills are too good. If I compete like you, people will say that I'm a bully in the future. Yu Mengchong's character was good, but he couldn't stand being looked down upon like this. He might have started a team to attract Lu Fei, but playing darts was really his personal hobby, just like how Lu Fei liked racing. You're insulting my hobbies and humiliating my character. You don't even understand the rules, you shameless layman. If I knew you were such a person, I would never have agreed to compete with you in darts. Chapter 405. Yu Mengchong really wanted to jump out and spit at Chun Guang's head. But when he thought of the fly that was nailed to the stone pillar, he could not muster up any courage. He felt that this guy might be able to hit the dart from so far away. That's fine. According to the rules, this is the rule of 301. Whoever can reduce the score to 0 first wins. Yu Mengchong pointed at the small black bar in the 3 times 20 area. Right here. Before he finished his sentence, Chun Guang, who was more than 10 meters away, threw out a dart. Ha! It stuck firmly into the dart plate, not moving an inch. It was less than 5 millimeters away from Yu Mengchang's fingertips. Yu Mengchang jumped in fright, cursing his mother in his heart. That triplet of 20 points represents 60 points, right? 301 points. I have to hit 5 60-point darts first, and then one 1-point dart, right? Chen Guang shrugged his shoulders. So troublesome. Can't you just go for the bullseye? Yu Mengchang could not take it anymore. What do you know? This is the rules. It is in this kind of thrilling and exciting competition where you lose with one move that darts are interesting. Chen Guang suddenly took out another 5 darts. You don't have it. How can you compete with me if I hit wherever I point? Just as he finished speaking, the remaining 5 darts were thrown out one after another. The interval between each dart was less than a second. A total of 5 darts were all squeezed into a 20-point triple zone. The distance between the darts was exactly the same, less than 0.5 millimeters. The tail fins of the darts were not touching each other at all. Instead, they were stuck inside each other. It was also a very standard posture. Only the last dart was stuck in the first zone. Why don't you let me finish explaining the rules? What Yu Mengchang found interesting was extremely boring in Chen Guang's eyes. Mr. Yu was embarrassed and aggrieved. It was as if his dreams were being trampled on, but there was nothing he could do. The 5 darts were stuck together in the tiny space of the 20-minute triple zone. Upon closer inspection, this guy seemed to have obsessive-compulsive disorder. Even the rotation of the tail wing was perfectly synchronized. What was even more disgusting was that his throwing speed was really fast. The most disgusting thing was that he was still standing so far away. I'm playing darts, what are you playing? Ultra-miniature cruise missile? Are you even human? Can we have fun? At the very least, Meng Chang, a half-pro player, had never seen anyone who could stand so far away and throw so accurately. This feeling was very much like a master of mental arithmetic who wanted to compete with someone in addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division of more than 10 digits, and the other party directly took out a calculator and gave the answer in 1 second. Yu Mengchang's current mood could only be described with 3 words: F * King Dog. When he looked at the reactions of Zhong Bai and the others, he was even more confused. Hey, don't you guys think that he's very powerful and worship him? Why are you guys still so calm after he's done such a horny thing? Why is this happening? At the very least, all of you are as shocked as I am. Did I win? Chen Guang walked up and looked at Yu Mengchang with an inexperienced gaze. Actually, old Master Guang was really worried about this. He didn't know the rules of the darts tournament, and, of course, he didn't have any intention of learning. Anyway, he just had to hit wherever he pointed. Yu Mengchang replied in a low, muffled voice, "You won. How could I not win? You're already so accurate, but our styles are different, all right? I'm a cartoon character from Yoshihiro Fukin's manuscript, while you're a CG hero from Blizzard movies." Even when Yu Mengchang was about to transfer the money with a bitter expression, he still didn't understand what was going on today. It wasn't easy for him to get into Lu Fei's little circle. Although he didn't seem very popular, he had successfully pestered Lu Fei. Then, this unknown Chen Guang was called over. Frankly speaking, Yu Mengchang knew very well why Lu Fei had called Chen Guang over. But after chatting for a while, he didn't treat Chen Guang as a true opponent. Even though Zhong Bai and the rest were very respectful to Chen Guang, Yu Mengchang wasn't an ordinary person. After chatting for a while, he saw through the lingering student aura around Chen Guang. He was still too immature and wasn't a match for him. Yu Mengchang felt that he had completely controlled the rhythm of the conversation with this love rival. Then he easily led the topic to his area of expertise, further inciting the bet. Although 5 million wasn't a huge figure to the people present, money wasn't a big deal. What was important was winning in terms of momentum. Everything was perfect until Chen Guang started throwing darts, which caused his view of the world to crumble. "Brother Chen, what's your account number?" Yu Mengchang was someone who was willing to admit defeat. With 5 million in front of him, Chen Guang instantly felt comfortable. He felt that he had played a pretty good role as a shield. No one would hate money, right? He was just about to give out his UBS account number when he suddenly realized that he couldn't. Now that the account number was being watched by Lu Li, wouldn't the money go into a bottomless pit if he deposited it? So, Chen Guang turned to look at Lu Fei. "Sister Lu Fei, What's your account number? Offering Buddha with borrowed flowers? Lu Fei revealed an overjoyed expression. Yu Mengchong wanted to vomit blood. You're Lu Fei. What is 5 million to you? Is it worth being so happy? In your dreams, my UBS account can't be used. No, it's all my bank accounts that are in danger. I just wanted you to help me keep them. Chen Guang spat. Sigh, you made this little girl happy for nothing. You're so heartless. Lu Fei's face was full of hidden bitterness. She really told Yu Mengchong her bank account number. Unexpectedly, Yu Mengchong didn't react for a long time. She urged him again, Hey brother Yu, hurry up. Yu Mengchong was dumbfounded. He only nodded blankly when Lu Fei urged him, okay. Young man, I'm your money bag from now on. That's right, as a woman, I have to control my man's money bag. Seeing him transfer the money, Lu Fei seemed to feel that it wasn't enough. She suddenly added one last stab. Woman, her man. She finally said those words. Yu Mengchong felt his heart break. His absent-minded appearance really made one sigh in pity. He didn't understand what was wrong with this world. In the past, when he pursued Lu Fei, although she never relented, it was never like today, where she directly pulled out another man to block in front of her. He wanted to ask Lu Fei why, but in the end, he didn't dare to. He really didn't want to hear more sad words. After that, he didn't have the mood to pester Lu Fei anymore. He found an opportunity to call Zhongbai out. He really wanted to know what kind of god this Chen Guang was. Zhongbai didn't tell him the truth. He only said that he wasn't very clear about Chen Guang's background. They only met each other when they were racing outside. They felt that they hit it off and had a good relationship. Sister Lu Fei seemed to like him very much. If he asked again, he would know. Yu Mengchong wanted to vomit blood. He felt that he lost inexplicably. He couldn't accept it. Chapter 406. On the other hand, Chen Guang saw that Mengchong had left and could not help but ask, How much hatred do you have for this person? You're really ruthless. Although I like to take advantage of you, I think he's not bad. He's a good match for you. Aren't you going to consider him? Lu Fei curled her lips. I have to like him just because he's a good match? Don't talk nonsense. Am I such a shallow person? Then this young lady's love is too cheap. Besides, it's because he's a good match that I have to keep my distance from him. I haven't had enough fun with him. That's right. If I end up in an improper relationship with such a person, I can't just abandon him. Something's not right. F***CK. I seem to have realized something. Realize your ass. I've never done it with you before. It's not like I'll get pregnant just by touching you. You're right. I have nothing to say. Chen Guang was in tears. Of course. In my current criteria for choosing a partner, Chen Guang, you're really ranked first. What's your criteria for choosing a partner? Chen Guang asked. Lu Fei chuckled. Just one word. Handsome. Oh, then there's no other way. It can only be the old man. You can't run away in this lifetime. I can lose in anything but handsome and righteous. Chen Guang nodded in agreement. Although I really want to beat you up, there was a time when you were the most handsome person in the world in my heart. I really hope that you can be as handsome as you are in the car. Lu Fei turned around. Her eyes were misty and misty. No. I'm usually handsome too. Not only am I handsome when driving, but I'm handsome when I'm eating. I'm also handsome when I'm squatting in the toilet. Today, he finally got an idea from Lu Fei. Actually, Lu Fei's idea was not that profound. Since there was no way to launch a public prosecution, he would go the route of public opinion. He would first cause a ruckus on the internet. When a matter reached a certain level, he would pull out 1 or 2 victims and launch a lawsuit in the name of the victims. In fact, Lu Fei had planned to use her own connections to help Chen Guang with this matter, but Chen Guang firmly disagreed. Business was business. Su Lijing was not a soft persimmon that could be kneaded at will. Asking her for help would only make things difficult for her. Sometimes, when one's power reached a certain level, a businessman could not easily offend them no matter how much money they had. Of course, Lu Fei's idea was only an idea when there was no other way. Weibo was said to be useful, and there would often be some real or fake news on it, causing some debates about what was wrong with the world. However, everyone knew that things in this world were not as free as they seemed on the surface. Of course, Lu Fei's idea was only an idea when there was no other way. Weibo was said to be a useful thing. There would often be some real or fake news on it, causing some debates about what was wrong with the world. But everyone knew that things in this world were not as free as they seemed. After the party, because he was drunk, he could not drive. So, Chen Guang simply left his car in the club and took a taxi with Lu Fei to her house. It was a 3-story villa located between the first and second rings of the city. It was much more domineering than Tang Ying's mansion. With the current housing prices, large villas in this location were generally not sold by square meters, but by buildings. If you did not have 20 million yuan, don't greet the developers. They would not have time for you. Obviously, Lu Fei was also used to living alone. The big house was empty with no one else. Try to make your almighty Superman ID even more popular. When it's about time, write a long article while it's hot and post it in one go. Even if it's quickly blocked or banned, it doesn't matter. At the very least, it's enough to create a certain impact. Then, you can make use of the fact that you're banned to make a fuss. Throw money. That's right, throw money to hire a water army to spread the news a second and third time. Launch wave after wave of propaganda to make people pay attention to this matter. After that, you can drag all the victims out and make the other party tired of dealing with them. With Su Lijing's personality, if Wu Shan can really make him careless, he might think that since the news can no longer be suppressed, he might as well go along with the public prosecution. As long as he can make some fuss during the trial and exonerate Wang Run, he will be able to take drastic measures and turn all of your attacks into nothingness. In other words, if what you said is not true, then in the end, you will be shooting yourself in the foot. But if everything you said is true, as long as you can push the matter to the court by hook or by crook, and with Wu Shan to uphold justice, it will be foolproof. But I don't know any professional water army. I have money, but I can't find a place to spend it. Chen Guang shook his head. Lu Fei chuckled. I know. My family is in the chemical industry, so we always have long-term cooperation with water armies. It's easy. To be honest, in front of someone who is determined to protect the environment, is it really a man to say such things? When I took the environmental exam, it was really heartbreaking. I watched the documentary, Cuckoo, Shi Li, Nature Now, The Mountains and Rivers Now. Pfft, save it for me. Aren't I helping you? All right, let's do it this way. First, show the enemy that we are weak, launch a little offensive, and lure Su Lijing to eliminate the impact. Then, throw money at him with a tidal wave of propaganda to make him tired, so that he can only place his hopes on tampering with the trial. Finally, you play all your cards in one go. As for the money for the water army, use the 5 million you left with me. I'll help you find people, and I promise I'll do it for you. Don't worry, I'm not stupid. I won't get myself into trouble. Ruffy drew a conclusion to the matter. Immediately, the two of them began to discuss the matter in Lu Fei's room, hyping up the Weibo account of Almighty Superman. How could there not be a piano in a 3-story villa? As a result, in Lu Fei's eyes, Chen Guang had another cool moment when he played the piano. Almighty Superman posted on Weibo again. The second piano video was fresh out. He once again challenged the world's top 10 difficult songs, and he played while watching a TV series. After watching the TV series, he even sang a song. Although his singing was terrible, he played Franz Liszt's Willow, Wisp, and sang He Schwa Schwa. In short, this video had to be as heaven-defying as ever. When Chen Guang released the second video, it instantly dispelled all the doubts about Chen Guang's omnipotent superhuman status. There were people who chased after him, and of course, there were people who questioned him. The skeptics believed that he did not really perform successfully in one go, but after many attempts, he recorded all the perfect performances in the same place, and then combined them into one video. At present, this view had become the mainstream of the opposition, because what he did was simply unrealistic in the eyes of the piano world. However, this video of him playing Willow, Wisp, and singing He Schwa 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 made everyone speechless, because it was even more unrealistic. Yes, many artists could play and sing by themselves, but what they played and sang was the same song. What the hell does your Willow, Wisp, and he schwa 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 have to do with each other? Aren't you afraid of schizophrenia? Speaking of which, why is the sound of your piano still as accurate as a machine? Emotionally, he was still holding back. At this moment, these people still did not know that this video was just the beginning of the frenzy that Almighty Superman was about to set off. In the next 3 days, they would witness the gradual rise of a living miracle. Chapter 407. By the time he was done, it was already 1 o'clock in the morning. Luckily, Lu Fei's villa had good soundproofing, and the nearby villas were far enough away. Otherwise, with Chun Guang's performance of some of the 10 most difficult songs in the middle of the night, people would have come knocking. Then, Lu Fei took out the darts that she had hidden in the storeroom and had not touched since she bought them. Chun Guang performed a few stunts. Darts, flat eyebrows, darts, those were all small cases. After filming, he felt that it was a little boring. After all, he was indoors. No matter how accurate his shots were, it did not seem cool enough. Wait a minute, there's another box. Lu Fei took out a second box, and there were 12 darts inside. Chun Guang took a deep breath. It seems that it's time to show my real skills. As soon as he finished speaking, he threw out his right hand, and 24 darts flew out from his palm, straight at the wall. The darts were nailed to the wall, and the 24 darts lined up to form a complete character. Cool. What do you think? Cool, right? Chun Guang said proudly. Lu Fei nodded. It's all right. I heard that the latex paint on the wall is quite expensive. It will probably cost a few thousand to repair the wall. I'll deduct it from your 5 million first. It took about half an hour to record the darts video. Since the wall was already a tragedy, Chun Guang simply performed all kinds of fancy moves on it. Throwing 24 darts at once was a piece of cake. Stringing 24 darts into a line was also a piece of cake. Then he used a pen to draw a zigzag line on the wall and instantly shot all the darts and nailed them to the line. There were 2 darts at the head and tail, and the distance between them remained the same. In short, the 2 of them were pondering how to throw darts in a way that others couldn't. To put it bluntly, it was a shameless show-off. You're really thick-skinned for the name Superman. Lu Fei ridiculed Chun Guang as she gave Chun Guang a name for the video. If I say I'm omnipotent, then I'm omnipotent. Unadulterated, unambiguous. Every dart will hit. Fancy darts take you flying. He uploaded the video to the internet. Chun Guang smiled. That's for sure. I'm an internet celebrity with real skills. I'm not someone who relies on glib talk. What's your purpose in making this thing? Make money? I don't think you need to rely on this to make money. The mysteries of heaven cannot be revealed. Then, Chun Guang sat in front of the computer and smiled as he watched his Weibo popularity skyrocket. Posting 2 videos at once was the first time an omnipotent Superman had done something like this. He had only said one thing. I want to be famous. I want to attract your attention. His goal was so clear that even some low-profile countrymen felt that he was being too arrogant and criticized him. Even so, the 2 videos still swept across the internet. Even though it was already late at night, the late-night slot still had an audience and was still popular. Brother Almighty has finally been revived. I'm back as a fan. My name is Piano Grade 10. I swear on my honor that this guy wearing a mask is not a human. He is a god. Brother Almighty's singing is so good. It's great. Love you. The girl above who said that Brother Almighty's singing is good. Are you sure you're not deaf? I don't care. Anyway, Brother Almighty is the most handsome. Hello, everyone. Please be rational and follow your idols. I'm a professor at a music school. This guy is just sensationalizing. There was definitely another set of radio systems. He's just playing with the opponent. That professor get lost. Have you ever seen an opponent with such a high sound picture synchronization rate? I've slowed down Brother Almighty's video 100 times to check, but I couldn't find any problems, okay? A well-known young pianist with a verified username also started reposting this Weibo post. At first, I was woken up from my bed by my wife to watch the video. I refused. After all, I'm a professional, and I've also held concerts before. I can't just get up and watch it just because you asked me to. Then I got beaten up by my wife. Now that I've watched it, I'm on my knees. People who aren't professional pianists really don't understand what this means. I can responsibly tell you that after I've done the comparison and verified that he really played the song himself, I'll offer my knees to him. About half an hour later, the big verified pianist replied with just one sentence. God, please accept my 29-year-old knees. The first professional stood up and offered his knees, and it quickly caused a chain reaction. More and more professionals who slept late were spread by word of mouth. In short, everyone get up and look at the god. It was the middle of the night, but on the internet, the video turned into a boiling torrent and swept across the internet. The crazed popularity of the second piano video had even completely overwhelmed the popularity of the darts video that he had released immediately after. But it didn't matter, as long as his popularity skyrocketed. An hour later, Chen Guang's fan count officially crossed the 5 million mark, and he was advancing toward his next goal. Looking at the time, it was almost 2 in the morning. Withdrawing his gaze from the computer screen, Chen Guang stretched and looked back at Lu Fei while licking his saliva. It's a bit late. Sleep? Let's do something that only adults like to do. Lu Fei smiled charmingly. What? Do you want to eat me? Yes, I'm hungry. Sure, if you're hungry, I'll give you some fresh and spicy duck blood curd. If you have something to say, just say it. Don't play tricks, be sincere. Today is the first day of my period. Didn't I go to the toilet just now? I just got here. Can I say some dirty words? Nope. Then go to sleep. I'm going to play a few games to calm down. Chen Guang didn't plan to leave the villa the next day. Before Lu Fei left, she glared at him fiercely. I'm going out to earn a lot of money. You better behave yourself at home. How dare you use my villa to pick up girls? When you come back, I'll eat you up. All right, take care. Sister Lu Fei is the best to me. Living in her room, eating her food, and sleeping in her bed, Chen Guang was at ease and didn't give her money. His reason was very good. If you live in such a big house by yourself, is it worthy of the few hundred square meters of land that you occupy? Such a big bed doesn't let me warm my bed. All right, he didn't enter Lu Fei's bedroom, even though she didn't lock the door. Lu Fei could be said to have seen through Chen Guang. He didn't have the guts to do it, and his words were flowery, but his hands were weak. Did he really want this old lady to push him down? It seemed like his willpower wasn't very firm. Before leaving, Lu Fei complained about her relationship with Chen Guang. As a result, Lu Fei's special machine for rubbing dogs was occupied by him. The reason was simple and sufficient. Knife Pig wanted to become a god of 10,000 points. At present, he had already achieved the achievement of the #1 god of 10,000 points in the national server. There were still 3 more stars waiting for him. Would Knife Pig be beaten up for being so arrogant at home? Even after being beaten up, Chen Guang still managed to occupy the machine. Currently, his ID in the Southeast Asian server had been accurately guaranteed by Liu Li to reach 8,000 points. The rest of the journey was up to him. Other than that, Lu Fei and Zhong Bai also helped him contact a TV station, the Chuan Province Literature Channel 2. On the day after tomorrow, he was going to host a live piano performance that didn't require tickets, didn't have any publicity, and had an ugly venue. His goal was clear. If people didn't believe him when he posted a video, then he could do a live broadcast, right? You guys have to believe it, right? The day after tomorrow, the world's best piano player will meet you. You don't have to pay for tickets. See you there. He spent a total of 2 million. 5 million was used to rent the venue, and another 500,000 was used to send a red packet to the person in charge of the literature channel. He also gave Zhongbai some face, and that was it. For the tree god statue to become popular as soon as possible, and to become the world's best piano player in a few days, this money was well spent. Why didn't he dare to call himself a master? Because he only knew how to play according to the music. He didn't expect that he would receive an unexpected surprise. After settling the matter of the live broadcast, Zhong Bai, who was in charge of helping Chen Guang with this matter, suddenly called. Brother Guang, I have a good idea. Do what? It's just that the live broadcast doesn't seem very exciting. Young people don't like to watch TV anymore. Aren't live broadcasts quite popular recently? I have a friend who is doing a live broadcast platform. Not bad, it's a little calm. He started a bamboo live broadcast. It's a new site and needs popularity. He said he can help you put up a cover recommendation, and he wants the live broadcast rights. Not paying for the live broadcast? I heard that those live broadcasts earn tens of millions of yuan per minute. Yes. How much? The last time he drank milk tea with me, he helped me pay for it. The money for a cup of milk tea was sold to Little Tsung's Bamboo live broadcast for Chen Guang's first piano performance. Chapter 4:08. Before he started matching, Chen Guang took a look. His Weibo fans had increased to 5,500,000 in one night, and it was still rising. After the first wave of the peak last night, the night owls went to bed the next day, and normal people resumed their rhythm. A new round of reposts appeared without any preparation. The discussion about the authenticity of the piano video came to an end, and all that was left was worship of the knee and meniscus. In addition, the second dart video that he had accumulated last night finally began to show its strength. In the last half of the video, in order to verify his identity, he sharpened the pencil again. This time, he sharpened a piano on the pencil head. In addition, he also took a picture of the computer screen to verify that the number one player on the national server who still could not be surpassed was himself. Even though the piano was elegant, not everyone could understand it. Ordinary people's perception of piano performance stopped at a very simple level of good or bad. They could not understand the amazing skills hidden under the performer's performance, especially the 10 most difficult songs. Frankly speaking, they were not very good songs. The difficulty was far greater than the degree of pleasing to the ear. Most of the difficult songs were used by performers to practice finger techniques. So how good could they be? Therefore, after the first wave of peak, even if the industry had generally recognized the unparalleled piano skills of Almighty Superman, the influence on the internet gradually cooled down. At this time, the benefits of throwing darts were revealed. Simple and straightforward, everyone could do it. Even if they had not played darts before, they would have at least thrown stones since they were young, right? Even throwing stones had to be said to be accurate or not, right? Therefore, Chen Guang let people understand what the fancy dart technique was. In the middle, Lu Fei interrupted with an explanation. Everyone look, this is our family's Almighty Superman's unique and unparalleled skill. Electric Poison Dragon Dart. Of course, Lu Fei's words were cut in the end. The name of the move was too shameful and would affect the glorious image of Almighty Superman. Chen Guang was not worried about being recognized by Yu Mengchang. What he performed in the clubhouse were all small skills, and the level in this video was not at the same level. In short, the dart video took over the baton of the piano video, pushing his Almighty Superman's popularity in the direction of higher. Chen Guang estimated that with the current progress, he would be able to rush to 6 million fans by night. But this was not enough. He began to use Weibo to broadcast the process of him becoming the number one player on the Southeast Asian server. The method was simple. Every time he finished a game, he would post a victory screenshot. His ranking on the ladder was rising, and he could not stop. He did not even know how to write the word lose. Halfway through, Lu Fei contacted a ghostwriter company when she was free during the day and displayed her professionalism, adding another layer of fire to Chen Guang's path to becoming an internet celebrity. During this period, Chen Guang was shocked by the sudden increase in his popularity when he browsed Weibo. It was only when he saw the private messages that he realized that it was a show of strength by the fake reviewers. After using the key skills of pencil sharpening, piano, and darts, his popularity in the Dota circle also gradually increased. The previous Tieba guru was a joke, and now he made a reality. At this time, he was going to make it a reality on another international server during his live broadcast. The previous Tieba guru was a joke, and now he made it a reality. At this time, he was going to make it a reality on another international server during his live broadcast. Making the joke no longer a joke, coupled with the mysterious aura of this mysterious Tieba guru. Suddenly one day, he jumped out on Weibo and live-streamed the process of him gaining points. Only then did many fans realize that the Almighty Superman was actually the Tieba guru. Tieba and forum naturally exploded. More and more Dota enthusiasts responded to his call. But his Weibo's momentum was not over yet. After Little Tsong and Zhong Bai came to an agreement, after half a day of intensive preparation, they started a new round of publicity. Chen Guang did not need to spend money on this side of the publicity. Little Tsong, who did not lack money and whose friends were not as rich as him, paid his own money to promote his live broadcast website. He even borrowed the popularity of the almighty Superman, Chen Guang, to form a win-win situation. Little Tsong's publicity strategy is very simple. Tomorrow, our platform will work together with Dachuan Province's Arts Channel to broadcast live the live performance of the strongest all-rounder in history, the godly piano-playing master whose piano skills are off the charts, the all-rounder Superman. Within the same day, the promotion of the piano video, darts video, the live broadcast of him gaining points, and the live broadcast of the Bamboo live broadcast. Today was the day to witness a miracle. By the time Liu Fei came back at night, he had already fought 15 rounds on his way to gaining points. His celestial stairway points went from 8,000 to 8,375. He was about to reach the top. The celestial stairway points were a small matter. At this time, the total number of Chen Guang's Weibo fans had exceeded 7 million. From the time he uploaded the video last night until now, in less than a day, the number of fans had increased to 2 million, and they were all living people. 7 million living fans. In the entire Weibo world, he was at least in the top 50 internet celebrities, but was not over yet. A hot topic on Weibo went from brewing to exploding and then gradually declining. It took at least 2 to 3 days. The promotion of the Bamboo Live broadcast only started near nighttime. Tomorrow, his Weibo fans would continue to increase. After Liu Fei came back, he contacted the person in charge of the Internet Water Army. They agreed that after Chen Guang finished his piano performance tomorrow night, while his popularity was rising unstoppably, he would immediately publish a long article to launch a fierce offensive against Wang Run and Su Lijing. At 6 o'clock the next day, Chen Guang had already rushed to around 8,800 points on the Southeast Asian server. His total number of fans had exceeded 8 million. Throwing down the mouse in his hand, he went out to drive the Phaeton that Liu Fei had sent someone to pick up and went straight to the Wujing City Art Center. He originally thought that there would be no one. After all, he had not done any advanced publicity. He did not expect to see a sea of people when he arrived. Zhong Bai came out and quietly welcomed him in. Why are there so many people? It's only been a day, and 2 million can create such a strong publicity effect? Chen Guang asked. Zhong Bai chuckled. We didn't spend any money, but someone else did. It's little Chong, rich and willful. To be honest, I regret it. F*CK. If I had known earlier, how much would I have lost? Save it. You're not a celebrity. You don't have to wear a mask. Aren't so many people here because they don't need to pay for the tickets? Zhong Bai had seen through his little scheme in one go. Isn't it because I'm famous on Weibo? Are these people here because I'm a celebrity? Although I'm not a celebrity, I'm a celebrity. Being famous is one thing, but asking for money and not asking for money are two different things. Brother Guang, don't worry about this. Don't you just want to be famous? Look at what you're saying. I'm really unhappy. How can I be such a shallow person? Huh? Isn't that so? At this moment, Chen Guang still did not know that his Phaeton had disappeared from school for 2 days and was finally found by Wang Ren's assistant, Guang Tu Chao. Brother Chao, why is this place so crowded? It's not easy to make a move. One of the underlings asked. Guang Tu Chao snorted. It's fine. Anyway, the car is here. We're not in a hurry. Guang Tu Chao had brought 17 to 18 people with him. He had planned to find a time when there were fewer people to block the car, but he did not expect there to be a sea of people here. Guang Tu Chao pondered for a moment. Don't care about anything else. Anyway, we'll keep a close eye on the car. It seems like some celebrity is having a concert. Shen Guang must be here to watch the show. He'll come out sooner or later. This time, he had brought 17 to 18 people. Most of them were super fighters from his own company. 3 of them were retired soldiers. Other than that, There were two people that he had hired with a lot of money. They were fighters that had won competitions in the underground boxing world. They were all tough people, and none of them were easy to deal with. Guang Tu Chao felt that he had a strong army, but he still wanted to be safe. Everyone brought their weapons. He had heard from Wang Ren that Chen Guang was pretty good at fighting, but there had to be a limit, right? I don't believe that you can handle this lineup of mine. Immediately, this big boss, who wanted to climb up Wang Ren's social ladder, had already called Wang Ren to ask for credit. Brother Wang, we blocked that kid's car. He's really something here at the Wujing Art Center. He actually came to watch some piano performance. When Wang Ren hung up the call, he chuckled to the worried Su Lijing and replied, Uncle, you're worrying for nothing. How can Chen Guang do anything? He's still watching the concert at this moment. You're just scaring yourself. Who are you? Where did you get the guts to do anything to you? Why don't you believe me when I tell you? Chen Guang really isn't some second-generation celebrity. He's just a poor student. I've already searched through his information in school. Su Lijing ignored him. He thought to himself, if the grandson of a big boss wants to live incognito in school, of course he would have to fake an identity. How could a junior like you see through it? But no matter what, because of his call from Guang Tu Chao, Wang Ren and Su Lijing had indeed let their guard down. They thought that Chen Guang really didn't take it seriously. Su Lijing thought to himself, perhaps Chen Guang's original goal was to get me to revoke the punishment for Zhuo Jingxi and the others. Who would have thought that a kid of such status was actually a romantic? When Lu Fei arrived, it was about 6:30. There was still a full hour before the piano performance began, but the crowd outside was already so big that it was almost impossible to stand. A normal celebrity's concert would not be able to reach this level of popularity. For such a situation to occur, the word free was indeed a big reason. Of course, it was also because of the popularity of the almighty Superman on Weibo, coupled with the free publicity provided by Xiao Tsong. In just one day, the internet was flooded with publicity for this event. It was said that Xiao Tsong had sold 2 to 3 million yuan in one day. If this was not popular, the heavens would not tolerate it. Chapter 409. Hey, in my opinion, we're still too hasty. The whole orchestra should cooperate. Brother Guang, you're the only one playing the piano the whole time. I always feel that it's a bit too much. Wang Qing stuffed a big chicken leg into his mouth while muttering with grease all over his mouth. Ever since this kid was discharged from the hospital, he's become a lot fatter than before. What do you know? With me playing the piano, there's no orchestra at all. You're not really planning to play alone for 2 hours, are you? Zhong Bai, who was standing at the side, was shocked. Actually, I did call a few underground rock bands in advance. They were waiting for you to take a break to warm up the stage. Huh? Are there girls in the band you found? At this moment, Chen Guang was in a dilemma. He intended to play for 2 hours by himself so that he could display his awesomeness and convince everyone. However, Zhong Bai had already called him over, so it would be a little unfair if he didn't let him perform. No. Oh, then tell them not to go on stage. They could be the audience worshiping God. Chen Guang expressed that this brother was just so honest. Aren't you afraid of being beaten for saying such words in front of Sister Lu Fei? Zhong Bai laughed. Lu Fei kicked Zhong Bai. Shut up. You like to stir up trouble. Normal artists had to make all kinds of preparations before going on stage to perform. For example, it was said that Richard Clayderman, a master pianist, would lock himself in his room and meditate for a long time before going on stage to adjust his condition, striving to give the audience the best possible state every time he performed. But Chen Guang, the best pianist in history, said that the old man doesn't need this. Anyway, no matter how good or bad his state is, it's the same tune. My state is no state. Sister Shuriwei and I are sitting in front of the TV waiting to watch your live broadcast. I really didn't expect you to play the piano. Your Weibo has been going crazy these past few days. Next time we have a concert, you'll be our accompaniment. Just as Chen Guang was eating, he received a text message from Jiang Yage. At present, only Zhong Bai and Lu Fei knew the details of Chen Guang's Weibo account, as well as Sun Xiaoxuan and Jin Shuriwei, were the first to follow Chen Guang's Weibo account. Perhaps Uncle Cheng, who was far away in Hong Kong, also knew the details, but he wouldn't care about it. Sun Xiaoxuan also sent a text message. Chen Guang, where did you learn to play the piano? I want to learn too. Chen Guang replied decisively. My master said that it's only passed down to males and not females because this piano technique is too overbearing. You can't wear clothes when learning it. Even wearing socks will affect your level, and you won't be able to learn it. Sun Xiaoxuan replied with a blushing emoji. She actually believed it. These people's text messages and phone calls did not cause any trouble to Chen Guang. Only by Fan, this trickster called Chen Guang first and only said, Brother Guang, check WeChat. He opened WeChat and saw that Bai Nyangzi had sent a video message. In the video, he was kneeling on the ground, crying with snot and tears. Brother Guang, help me. My book failed. It fell to shit. I've been running around naked since I uploaded it. It's been a month and a half. The new book period has passed. The editor doesn't even give a mosquito a leg. Brother Guang, you have to save me. I beg you. I'm begging you. Although I don't know how you managed to create such a concert. I think it's really popular. Could you please help me advertise my new book and help me advertise a little? Even if it's just reading the title of my book once. The billionaire young master's venomous doting wife. Please love me 1,001 times. As your brother, I haven't begged you once in 3 years. This time, I'm really begging you. This video was watched by Lu Fei, Zhong Bai, and the others. Everyone expressed that their waists were hurt. Brother Guang, your classmate is too funny. Birds of a feather flock together. Brother Guang, you're surrounded by weirdos. To be fair, we don't look like normal people either. That's true. Let's not call the pot calling the kettle black. But this by Fan's book title is too weird. Chen Guang rolled his dead fish eyes. He really didn't know what to say. Bai Nyangzi added another voice message. When he opened it, he wailed hoarsely, I'm begging you. I'm watching your live broadcast. I don't care. I'm hanging on a rope now. If I don't hear the title of my book after you're done, I'll die in front of you. This will expose my Weibo identity. I don't care. I'm not listening. I'm not listening. I'm not listening. If you don't help me, we'll be brothers again in our next lives. I won't let you off even if I become ghosts. This guy was quite a moral blackmail. Zhong Bai and the others had a stomachache from the conversation between these two. They were really too stupid. Until Bai Nyangzi sent another short message. You can pretend to interact with a live audience member on stage, and then let that person read out the title of my book. Chen Guang looked up and glanced at the crowd. Zhong Bai and Lu Fei were the most disrespectful. Zhong Bai, help me out. Save my life. Zhong Bai couldn't laugh anymore. Why me? Chen Guang chuckled. Only you and Sister Lu Fei are laughing the most. If it's not you, then it's Sister Lu Fei. Besides, I sold my live broadcast rights for a cup of milk tea. Brother Zhong Bai, it's not too much for you to sacrifice a little, right? F***CK. You mean I'm going to be the most pitiful shill in history? Something like that. Since we've known each other for a while, you have to help me. At 7:15 p.m., the Arts Center, which could accommodate 5,000 people, was already full. There were even more people crowding outside, unable to enter. Even 10,000 was considered a small number. Fortunately, the square outside the Arts Center was big enough, and there was a big screen. Many people who came late and couldn't get in, or fans or onlookers left. In short, there were a lot of people. At least there was a place to watch the big screen. Hiding behind the scenes, Chen Guang's heart was bleeding. He was doing the math. There were 5,000 people in total. If he charged at least 50 for each ticket, he would lose 250,000. Actually, this was bullshit. To rent this place, he cut the queue at the last minute. He spent 1.5 million first. He didn't earn a single cent from the live broadcast rights, and he lost another 500,000. Live broadcast rights? Forget about Zhong Bai's cup of milk tea. My heart hurts. Such a heavy loss. It's equivalent to 100 million after rounding it up. With such a great god wasted, let's not talk about how popular he would be. If he couldn't build a piano god statue, it would be a huge loss. I seem to vaguely remember something. Less than 10 days ago, A certain god threatened me to build 2 statues within a month. Otherwise, I would have to go into the cup world when I take a dump. The pencil god statue has already been set up, right? If I build the piano god statue today, won't I complete the task ahead of time? Damn, how can I be so quick-witted? No, if I don't succeed today, I'll die. I have to get rid of the fear of becoming the king of anus. Zhongbai, Chen Guang suddenly roared. Behind him, Zhongbai, who was painstakingly memorizing the long book title, was startled. What? Live broadcast rights are only available in China, right? Do you have overseas broadcast rights? Have you sold it? Chen Guang said anxiously. Not yet. You're in such a hurry. How can you have the time? Although he didn't know why Chen Guang was suddenly so anxious, Zhongbai's voice had unknowingly risen. Quick, help me think of a way. Overseas broadcast rights must be available too. I don't need money. Oh no, I can even pay for it. Chen Guang roared louder and louder. Only 15 minutes left. Where do you expect me to find it? Tang Xiaokai. 10 minutes later, his international friend, comrade Tang Xiaokai, had settled the matter of the piano performance being broadcasted on overseas YouTube. With a nouveau riche stepping in, the efficiency was indeed different. He didn't spend any more money. In fact, after the previous pencil sharpening video, the omnipotent Superman's Weibo account was already very famous on YouTube. If it weren't for his popularity at home and abroad, Chen Guang wouldn't have been able to erect a 100-foot pencil statue. The racing documentary that followed was also crazily sought after by foreign racing enthusiasts. It was just that the Otto statue had already taken shape. Even if they increased the publicity, the power of faith was already fixed. After that, the 2 piano videos that he released also received quite a lot of reposts. After a period of accumulation of popularity, the debate about this piano master that fell from the sky also continued to spread overseas. It was just that Chen Guang himself didn't know about it. Now, they heard that this god was actually going to open a live performance, and it was even a piano performance without any broadcasting fees. This news was personally made by the head of a famous investment company, the famous Chinese tycoon Tang Xiaokai. It was definitely not fake. The senior management of YouTube only considered for 30 seconds before decisively accepting the live broadcast. It was guaranteed to go straight to the front page. Of course, unlike Xiaosong's Bamboo live broadcast, YouTube was second to none overseas. They didn't need to compete with others for popularity. They just needed to broadcast it straight to the front page, and it would be enough to attract attention. Done. Zhongbai gave an okay gesture to Chen Guang, who was putting on his mask and preparing to go on stage. The much-anticipated omnipotent Superman's piano performance was about to begin. Chen Guang, Zhongbai, and the others didn't really know how many viewers there would be for a performance that was done in a hurry. Anyway, they didn't expect to earn any money. They just wanted to make him more famous. A deputy director of Wujing City's Arts Channel 2 was sitting in his office, feeling a little uneasy. At this time today, he should have already gotten off work. But today's situation was a little special. He didn't dare to leave. He wanted to stay in his office and finish watching the live broadcast. He was under quite a bit of pressure to suddenly disrupt the broadcasting schedule of the entire station and forcefully interrupt a live broadcast of a piano performance. But the other party was Huangshan Corporation, a big client of the entire Dechuan television station. The benefits they gave were not small. 500,000 yuan wasn't a lot, but it wasn't a small amount either. Besides that, it was perfectly justifiable for the Arts Channel to broadcast a piano performance. Moreover, it was just an Arts Channel with extremely low ratings. It was even Channel 2 program. It wasn't a big deal to play a little tricks. But no matter what, he still didn't feel confident. At least, they couldn't fall below the usual ratings, right? This deputy director, who wasn't young, wasn't very clear about the ups and downs on the internet. He just thought that was a rich young master from Zhongbai's circle who wanted to have some fun. This was a common occurrence. Otherwise, how would their Arts Channel 2, which had such low ratings, give out benefits? Didn't they rely on these rich young masters to do something from time to time? Or perhaps these rich young masters wanted to have some fun, or they were just helping to promote a small celebrity. Even if it was a variety show that no one watched, it was still a program. Young girls who were in a rush to become famous would fall for this. The reason why this deputy director felt nervous was because Jean Bai's appetite was too big. He asked for 2 hours of his time right off the bat. He couldn't help but feel nervous. Chapter 410. On the other hand, Bamboo Live had already released the live broadcast of the Art Center's performance hall on the internet. Online live broadcasts were not as formal as live broadcasts on TV. Streaming signals in advance also helped to increase popularity before the performance officially began. With Xiao Tsung's publicity, she managed to gain quite a bit of popularity. Even before Chen Guang's performance started, the Bamboo Arts channel, which was responsible for the live broadcast, already had a popularity of 500,000. At this moment, it was ranked second among all the Bamboo Arts channels. Ranked first was the superstar JJ, who set foot in the live broadcast industry for the first time. The number of viewers was as high as 1 million. Coincidentally, JJ's live broadcast was Dota. Chen Guang's loss to him was not undeserved. At the same time, YouTube, which was far away overseas, had also reached an agreement with Little Kong. Both parties shared a set of streaming signals, which was considered a mutual cooperation between the two companies. Because YouTube did not have any advance promotion, even if it was posted on the homepage, the number of viewers did not exceed 100,000. Sister Lu Fei, what do you think Brother Guang is planning with this show? Zhongbai could not help but ask when he saw Chang Guang sitting in front of the piano in a tuxedo and wearing AV special agent mask, ready to start working. Lu Fei thought about it. She couldn't tell him about this. There must be a reason, but I can't tell you. In short, after today's matter is settled, you have to get yourself out of this mess. If anyone asks you, you don't know anything. Zhongbai's eyelids twitched, and he had a bad feeling. Something big is going to happen. Lu Fei nodded. It must be something big. I'm afraid some places in our Sichuan province are going to change. F***CK. Just because of a disagreement, he dragged me into this. Zhongbai's face was full of tears. Don't be nervous. We're not small characters. This is his business. We're just helping him out as friends. He doesn't have the guts to burn all of our heads. After all, we're not vegetarians, right? Lu Fei saw through it. It's also because he didn't agree to let me dive in. Otherwise, I really want to use some of my family's connections to help him. Lu Fei spoke in a secretive manner, causing Zhongbai's heart to itch uncontrollably. Wang Qing, who knew some inside information, smiled but did not say anything. He could only watch Zhongbai scratch his ears and cheeks in satisfaction. On the other side, Chen Guang pressed his hands on the piano and finally began to play. Everyone couldn't help but look forward to how he was going to survive the 2-hour concert all by himself. 2 hours later, the global piano world was in an uproar. In these 2 hours, too many unforeseen events had occurred. When the first song was played, Chen Guang did not challenge the difficult song. Instead, he chose the first song that he had learned after transforming into 1900. He didn't play a difficult song, but instead, he played with the beauty of art. It was quite pleasant to listen to. The people who were watching and listening to the live broadcast in front of their televisions and computers also felt that it was normal. But the moment the first piece ended, he didn't stop and switch to one of the 10 great difficult pieces. Just like before, it conformed to the norm. But this wasn't a soothing song that anyone could play. It was a difficult song that was easy to make mistakes. After a difficult song, he didn't stop, nor did he switch to a soothing song. Instead, he continued to challenge difficult songs. In addition, he actually played the piano while using his phone to scroll through Weibo. He read out the comments of the audience under his Weibo, but the sound of the piano was not messed up at all. If there were people who doubted whether he had finished the performance in one go when he posted the video on the internet before, then this time, with the live broadcast on TV and the internet, no one could doubt the authenticity of it. Just as Chen Guang said at the beginning, he chose to broadcast this performance so that people would come to see a god. Once the audience was convinced in their hearts that he was not fake, those who really understood the piano began to spread the news again. Within the Sichuan province, those who received the Wujing Literature Channel 2 would watch it on TV. Those in other provinces or abroad would watch the live broadcast on Bamboo or YouTube. As more and more people watched, the publicity of the live broadcast also spread more and more. Perhaps those who were not true music lovers would feel that the difficult songs he played were not very pleasant to listen to, but those who knew the music would understand that they had seen a living god. Chen Guang played like this while promoting his Weibo account. The number of fans started from 8 million, and in these 2 hours, it shot up again. The deputy director of the Literature Channel 2 was dumbfounded when he saw the viewership ratings that were about to break the record. I thought this was a rich second generation playing around, but I didn't expect it to be a treasure. Little Song looked at the number of viewers in the #1 Bamboo live broadcast channel and smiled. On the YouTube side, the number of viewers had already exceeded 5 million. Countless international friends' bullet screen comments had already exploded, and there was no lack of famous piano masters among them. Russia's national treasure pianist, Bogoryevsky, said, "I have never seen anyone who can play Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 3 with such ease. I'm even starting to doubt life." Italy's national treasure pianist, Pavarentsev, said, "There was once an Asian pianist who amazed me, but now this Asian makes me want to kneel down." The world-renowned Polish master, Richter, let his grandson publish an article on his personal website. "In my long life of 100 years, this is the first time I've seen and heard someone who can play Paganini's Etude without missing a single note. This is not flawless in the broad sense, but perfect in the narrow sense. This person has the most perfect talent bestowed by the Creator." At first, there were people who used a sarcastic tone to say that Chen Guang was playing to the gallery. On the surface, it was a piano, but in the dark, it was very likely that he was playing a recording. But when one master after another stood up and used a tone of amazement to say that they had seen the miracle of life, no one dared to question the authenticity of this performance anymore. Finally, when Chen Guang hit the last note, he took a big gulp of water, felt the tremors coming from the sea of clouds of the heavenly Holy Grail, and was pulled into it. He saw a huge piano statue rising from the sea of clouds, standing side by side with the pencil and the alto car. His heart felt at ease. Hard work pays off. The third statue was in his hands. When he returned to the outside world, he looked at Weibo again. The number of fans he had was just over 10 million. He smiled until his eyes were squinted. 10 million living fans. Weibo claimed that there were billions of registered users. Of course, this was nonsense. Excluding a few accounts registered by one person and excluding most of the zombie fans, the real live users were at most 1 or 200 million. Chen Guang's Weibo was different from other celebrity accounts with tens of millions of followers. The millions of fans here were all living people. This meant that out of the 1 or 200 million real users on Weibo, 1 out of every 10 people was his fan. There were a total of 5 billion people in Huaxia, and 1 out of every 150 people was his fan. In addition, those who didn't know him or didn't pay attention to him would inevitably hear the name of this almighty Superman from other people's mouths. From now on, even if he farted and made a sound, he could record it with his phone and post it on Weibo. At the very least, tens of millions of people would hear this heavenly sound immediately. A top internet celebrity was just that domineering. This time, the piano statue had come so easily precisely because of this comprehensive publicity method. With such a super internet celebrity account in hand, it would be much easier for him to promote other godly skills and erect statues in the future. Big profits with a small capital. Chen Guang grinned. But this wasn't enough. I want to walk the path of the strongest internet celebrity. I want to make this Weibo so strong that when I practice any skill in the future, I can post it on the spot and erect a statue on the spot. That would be awesome. In the future, he had to make his words and videos become irrefutable golden rules. Lu Fei hid in the backstage, watching Chen Guang's back as he closed his eyes to rest, the stars in her eyes almost shooting out. Admittedly, When she first got to know Chen Guang, it was only because she was infatuated with his excellent driving skills and his act of saving Zhong by that made him seem like a very loyal person. But the more she interacted with him, the more she saw how amazing he was. At this moment, Lu Fei finally understood that his driving skills were only one of his countless abilities. Lu Fei didn't need to say anything about the Dota, but she had also seen the video of Chen Guang sharpening pencils and asked him for a rose. The day before yesterday, this guy had used the electric poison dragon dart. Although the name was a little embarrassing, it was really dazzling. Today's hastily organized piano performance also dazzled Lu Fei. Although she wasn't a veteran music fan, and perhaps she was a little drowsy like many of the audience, the crazed hype on the internet couldn't be faked. The comments given by countless foreign masters at that time couldn't be faked. Lu Fei couldn't help but think to herself, how many more secrets does this guy have? Is there anything he doesn't know? He seems to be signaling me with his eyes. Lu Fei was stunned. Chen Guang was anxious, staring at her and mouthing to her. Lu Fei took a while to react, then pushed Zhong by beside her. Quick, I'm calling you. Go. Can I not go? I'm really panicking. At least he's wearing a mask, but I don't. Zhongbai was a little unwilling. But in the end, he still went. He braced himself and rushed out from the backstage, holding a bouquet of flowers in his hands. He ran to Chen Guang and stuffed the bouquet into Chen Guang's hands, shouting, "All around Superman. Oh my God, I'm your most loyal fan in my past life, this life, and the next." Readers who like to read online literature, please click on Billionaire Young Master's Poisonous Spoiled Wife. Please love me 1,001 times. F***CK. Can you be any more blunt than forcefully inserting a soft advertisement? You're using too much force to turn the corner. So F***King shameful. Run. Chen Guang stood up, took the microphone, and said, "Everyone, remember my Weibo name, All Around Superman. Tonight, please follow my Weibo account. There's going to be a big announcement." Immediately after, he left Zhong Bai and ran backstage, pulling Lu Fei along. "Let's go." He didn't explain much to her. Anyway, his goal for today had been achieved. The rest of the mess would be left to Zhong Bai, who had a confused look on his face, to deal with. Wang Qing and the others were also loyal. They chuckled and ran away with Chen Guang and Lu Fei. Zhong Bai couldn't react to the situation at all. When he went backstage, it was empty. On the other side, the staff from the TV station and Bamboo Live had already rushed over. Brother Zhong, you must introduce us to all-around brother. We'll be relying on him in the future. There must be something going on between the two of you." Zhong Bai was furious. What the F***CK? I don't know him either. I was F***King forced to do this. He already knew that Chen Guang had buried a big pit. At this time, he definitely couldn't fall headfirst into it. Just as Lu Fei said, he planned to go abroad for the next few days to lie low. Anyway, he wouldn't care even if the sky fell down. If anyone asked him, they would only say that they were also this all-around Superman's fan. But this was a godly person who wore a mask everywhere he went. He had no way of knowing his real identity. Chapter 411. Regardless of how pitiful it was for Zhong Bai to be left behind, Chen Guang, Lu Fei, and the rest had already snuck away. They were intending to celebrate. After changing clothes with him, the group headed to the parking lot. On the way, Lu Fei could not help but ask, other than racing, sharpening pencils, throwing darts, and hitting the sword tower, what other skills do you have? Can you tell me everything in one go? Chen Guang thought for a moment. I do have a very awesome skill, but it's a bit hard to tell. Lu Fei looked at him blankly. What? Chen Guang moved closer to Lu Fei's ear. Let me tell you, my greatest skill is not what you see. Look at my hand, do you see it? Do you see the terrifying vibration? Yes, that's right. This is the legendary overclocking vibration. It's more powerful than any vibrating machine you've ever seen. It's even more effective. You know how powerful it is. Lu Fei blushed and spat at him. You can't be serious. The few of them entered the parking lot. Wang Qing's car was parked on the other side, while Chen Guangzi and Lu Fei headed in the direction of the Phaeton. Just as the two of them approached the parking lot, a large group of people suddenly rushed out from behind the Phaeton and firmly surrounded the two of them. Chen Guang was startled. No way. He had hidden so well, yet the groupies recognized him. From today onwards, the old man would have to bid farewell to his proudest days of acting cool. Something was not right. These people did not look like groupies. Most people would not hold a metal rod in their hands when they chased after their idols. They were offering flowers, but these tough guys were offering steel rods. His posture was so special. Chen Guang, let's see where you can hide now. Grandpa has been looking for you for days. Chao Guang too had his hands on his hips, standing proudly in front of the crowd. He had put in a lot of effort to find Chen Guang. Chen Guang was stunned for a moment, then shielded Lu Fei behind him. You know me? Chao Guang too raised an eyebrow. Why would I look for you if I don't know you? Did Wang Ren send you? Chen Guang asked again. You don't need to know about that. Anyway, just bear with it for today and prepare to lie in the hospital for a month or two. You'd better cooperate. Otherwise, my friends might not be able to control themselves well. As Chao Guang too spoke, he retreated. The people he brought with him gradually pressed forward. Lu Fei, on the other hand, was unfazed. Looks like you're still too slow. Look at how straightforward he is. He who strikes first has the advantage. Chen Guang did not panic in the slightest in the face of the people that Chao Guitu had brought. The others are different from me. I don't have a government official father. Lu Fei covered her mouth and laughed. How can we say that? Chao Guang too was extremely puzzled. How could this man and woman not be nervous at all when surrounded by so many people? Could it be that he was scared silly? There are so many people here. Why don't we reason with them first and wait for Wang Qing to bring his men over? As Lu Fei spoke, she stretched her neck to look at the other side of the parking lot. As expected, Wang Qing, Duan Wan, and the others had already noticed that something was wrong and were rushing over. Chen Guang shook his head and licked his lips. No need, my hands are itching. In the beginning, Wang Qing was furious when he saw Chen Guang and Lu Fei being surrounded. After all, the friends of Wang Guoxiong-san were surrounded right under their noses. This was akin to slapping the face of the Wang family. However, 30 seconds later, Wang Qing's anger was gone. All that was left was pity and sympathy. He had no idea how Chen Guang did it. From what he could remember, he had never seen anyone who could take down so many people with weapons in such a short period of time. Even his uncle, the most powerful bodyguard in his family, who was said to have killed more than 10 soldiers on the battlefield, couldn't do it. Before Wang Qing and the others could get close, Chao Guang too and the large group of people he brought were all howling miserably on the ground. Chen Guang did not know how much he should hit them. In short, he just used the sticks in their hands to hit them until they couldn't move. Looking at the pitiful scene on the ground, the others could only think of one word. Pitiful. It was undeniably pitiful. The first person swung his stick at Chen Guang, but the stick in his hand was snatched away. This person was close to 2 meters tall and had a huge build. However, Chen Guang snatched his weapon away as if he was snatching a lollipop from a child's hand. Then, he hit the person's head with the stick. Duong, duong, duong. That was about it. The other party was obviously a gang of menacing people, but they were all taken care of by Chen Guang like he was playing whack-a-mole. What's the situation now? Wang Qing walked over anxiously. He could not help but think back to the first time he met Chen Guang. Fortunately, Zhongbai had fallen into the river and everyone had restrained themselves. Otherwise, if they had really fought, the scene would have been terrifying. Chen Guang shrugged. Isn't it obvious? Someone found a gang to beat me up and send me to the hospital. That's it. In the end, Chen Guang and Lu Fei left first, while Wang Qing and the others stayed behind. Since Chao Guang too was a gang member, it was Wang Qing's duty to run into him. Chao Guang too had seen Wang Qing before and knew that he was Wang Guoxiong's son. Unfortunately, it was too late by the time he recognized him. He really did not know whether to laugh or cry at this incident. Although Chao Guang too was not a member of the Wang family, his boss, Mr. Yin IV, and Wang Guoxiong were sworn brothers. Today, he admitted defeat and was extremely unlucky. He originally planned to beat someone up to please Wang Run, but he did not think that the situation was so troublesome that it was not something he could understand. The poor student that Wang Run mentioned was in cahoots with Wang Guoxiong's son. He had been tricked by Wang Run. After returning to Lu Fei's house, Chen Guang began to prepare to release the news. The first long article had already been prepared. The title was The Devil Hiding in the Ivory Tower. It described the many things that Wang Ren had done in the past few years when he was the head of the Academic Affairs Department at Jianhuan Academy. The core part of the article was Ding Lu's matter, clearly explaining the ins and outs of the matter. A white-collared beauty who should have been enjoying her life now chose to end her life before she could step out of the ivory tower. Why was that? Who did it? What methods did they use? Who forced her step by step into a dead end? Of course, cheating was shameful. But how many people dared to guarantee that their university life was pure? Who hadn't been stupid once when they were young? Ding Lu didn't even cheat herself. She only let others take a look at her paper. Wang Ren used his power to force her step by step. He threatened her step by step. He even used drugs to humiliate her. At every turning point in her life, she met the wrong person and did the wrong things to her. Her boyfriend was also very shameful. Her family was also very heartless. But no matter how many mistakes the people who came after her did, Wang Ren, who used drugs to obtain her, was the first person who planted the seeds of evil. Now, Ding Lu's remains had turned into dust. What was the devil Wang Ren doing? 3 months ago, he was still acting like a tyrant in Jianhuan Academy. He used his usual methods to force the young and beautiful but talented new counselor to submit. When his plot failed, he was abandoned by the teachers and students, and he was kicked out of Jianhuan Academy. However, he didn't receive the punishment he deserved. Instead, he became the manager of the School of Chemical Industry. He moved to another place and lived a better life. He used another method to continue to corrupt the beautiful campus of Gokyo University in another academy. Ding Lu's soul was crying silently. Who could stop Wang Ren from using his dirty hands to stain the holy land of scholars? Shouldn't this kind of person go to hell? At the end of this long post, Chen Guang attached 2 photos. One was the late Ding Lu. At this time, she had just entered the campus. She showed a bright smile in front of Hua Ling's mobile phone. Although she wasn't so beautiful that people would be stunned by her beauty, she showed the cuteness and innocence of a girl next door. The other photo was taken from the video recorded by Lin Jingwei. It showed the ugly and ferocious side of Wang Ren when he was angry. Not only that, under the same Weibo post, Chen Guang attached a recording. It was the recording extracted from Ding Lu's mobile phone. Ding Lu's heart-wrenching scream, Wang Ren's lawless shouting, the sound of scuffles and collisions, all of these could ignite the adrenaline of everyone who saw this long post and heard this recording. That night, Chen Guang didn't sleep for the whole night. He also didn't know how long his Weibo post would last, but the longer it lasted, the more people would see it. At this time, the number of his fans had already exceeded 10 million. Although it was already midnight when this Weibo post was posted, there were still countless people who clicked on it immediately. At first, some people were still complaining, saying that Almighty Superman had finally become serious, but now he had fallen and was going to become a public figure again. But this time was different. This time, the target of his attack was too clear. The matter was written too clearly, and Ding Lu's story was too painful. When the seniors and juniors who had been in Jianhuan Academy for the past few years commented and replied on Weibo, they either spoke for themselves or vouched for the Almighty Superman. They said that the Weibo post written by Almighty Superman was true, and after they said it with certainty, no one dared to call Almighty Superman public knowledge anymore. Instead, it was reposted one after another and comments after comments. In a place like a school which was supposed to educate people, there was actually such a level of corruption. How infuriating was that? Overnight, Wang Ren's name was known by the whole world. Lu Fei had already fallen asleep. Chen Guang sat in front of the computer in the living room. He had already turned off the lights. In the dark night, only his cold face could be seen, hidden in the dark like a snake. Finally, When this Weibo post had been reposted more than 200,000 times and had more than 400,000 comments, the official Weibo block came late. Almighty Superman, who had tens of millions of fans, this super online celebrity account that didn't add any accounts was instantly cleared. It was like an island on the sea that was hit hard by the huge waves brought by the howling wind. The huge waves retreated, but the island was completely flattened. From the sea, there was nothing. Who knew how many silent complaints were hidden under the water? You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.